I brought up some great. Chill just made a great point. I just made up a great title for the show today. I came up with great topics. I did what great hosts do. Historical hosts do historical things. And as of right now, we are witnessing historical things from a couple superstars in the NBA. And we have to get down to the bottom of that. You guys, I've been hearing a lot of things about the current NBA and that the ratings are down and the product is trash and we need a better play style. We need rivalries. We need an all-star weekend that's actually worthwhile and this, that, and the third. And first off, I want to let you know that this show is brought to you by PrizePicks. And second off, I want to just point out that we are witnessing some of the best basketball that is ever came across the basketball or came across a television screen, has been recorded on cameras, or that anybody's ever seen with their two eyes. But for some reason, we're taking it for granted. And so we are going to dive into a couple different players, but also maybe a couple different teams and just things that are going on at this moment in time that we should be grateful for, because history is upon us and we need to acknowledge it. Now, Mars and Chill, you guys had certain talking points that you wanted to touch on. So let's go ahead and get into it. Chill, I don't know if you have a question that you want to start with, or Mars, if you have an opening statement that you would like to jump onto.
Mars, I'd like to start the conversation, Mars, by saying, like, I threw the ball out of bounds, so that's my fault. When Ron, that's me.
But I saved it though, Chill. You threw it out of bounds, and you remember Dennis Rodman where he dove and grabbed the ball and threw it back in? In fact,
I threw it in the third row. That's my fault, Mars. My fault. I apologize for that turnover. So that's me. This topic of the show, I thought to myself about this because a lot of you guys talk to me a lot about the eye test and things like that. What separates, when we're talking about the best players in the world, what makes you say this guy is better than this guy? For example, when I watched Jordan in '92, what separated Jordan from Barkley and Malone and David Robinson? What separated James in 13 from KD and Paul George and Bryant and guys like that? Where was the separator where we go, okay, that's the best player on the planet? What did it? What made him become the best player? I'd like to think that winning matters. I've always felt like we can't talk about a guy being the best player on the planet until they win. We can talk about them being a great player, but winning, I feel like, goes into that. But with that, what separates a guy in your estimation when they become the best player in the world?
Consistency and value. I think if you can consistently be the most valuable player on your team or in the league, that puts you in the best player conversation. That's something I value a lot more, when you are constantly knowing that your team is leaning on you to have a good game, to play great, to give that effort on the defensive end, to be the best offensive player on the floor, and you're doing that 82 games a season and in the playoffs. That gives me the type of thing I need to put you in the best in the world conversations. If you can do that at a high level consistently, I mean, there are going to be guys that have more MVPs or more championships, but there are some guys that I believe that are just way more valuable to their team, and what they're doing is more valuable. That would make me think that they're better.
Value is subjective, though, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you determine who's more valuable?
By the wins.
I can see that as well, but then, like, I can also see, like, if you're extremely valuable for your team and you just don't have the best team around you, like, that could be something that could be used against you as well. When some people are valuable, like, I think we can all agree that Jason Tatum may not be as valuable as Giannis Antetokounmpo, but the Celtics are going to get more wins because they have the better team around them. I think Giannis would be more valuable for.
Or Jason Tatum is more valuable than we think.
I mean,
I can see that. I know he's valuable.
That's where I was going with him, Mars. Maybe he might be more valuable if he was playing in Detroit, or if he was playing in Atlanta or another team like that. Now, the crew that he's on, he might not be as valuable because as good a team as they are. Same logic with, like you just mentioned, Mars. You just mentioned Giannis. Well, Giannis, being as good a player as he is, I'm sorry, it was JD who mentioned consistency. You talked about consistency. I mean, who's been more consistent than Giannis over the last 3 years?
Are you about to make the case that Jason Tatum's the best player in the league?
No, he's not going to.
Okay, thank God.
Okay, no, I'm not doing that. What I am saying is that the crew that he's on, he may seem less valuable on that crew. He might be more valuable on another crew where he might have to do more things, and his value gets increased. But to John D's point, I mean, hasn't Giannis been the model of consistency, or has he not been?
He had the issue, not the issue. I think the thing with Giannis has been disappointing is just the postseason injuries.
Yes.
So like he hasn't won a playoff game since 2022. So it's like we know how good Giannis is, and I think he's taken a jump in the last 2 years in terms of how good he is. And this year, I think he's probably getting to a whole nother level. But we just haven't seen it in the postseason. We can project what we think would happen in the postseason or how we think things would translate. Sure. But unfortunately, because of things outside of Giannis's control, we just haven't seen him play healthy in the postseason for 2 years. And the last time we saw him, he was being called the best player in the world in 2022. And he had that series against Boston. He was being called the best player in the world. So I think like making the case that Giannis is the best player in the world who's just been dealing with some injury misfortune, I think is fine. For me, I guess where I don't fully agree with John D is if a player is like playing at a regular all-star level, and then the next season they make a jump to playing like 2013 LeBron, I'm not going to then say, well, I can't call them the best because they haven't done it for multiple years. It's like, this guy just better than everyone. I don't know how much longer I have to see this before I just say he's better than everyone.
Why though, Mars? That's my question.
If I see 2013 LeBron in the league, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, this is the first year of 2013 LeBron. I can't call him the best. That's 2013 LeBron. That's the best player in the league.
But even if you've seen let's just say for the sake of argument, you saw, I don't know, you saw 2000 Tracy McGrady, and you go from 2000 Tracy McGrady to 2013 Bron. But then you go back to, I don't know, let's say 2015. Let's say 2015.
You mean 2001 Tracy McGrady? 2000 Tracy McGrady was still on the Raptors.
Okay, so 2001 Tracy McGrady, and then you go to 2013 James. But then we go to 2016 or 2017 Paul George. Are we still doing that?
See,
that's why I like to say consistency matters, Mars.
And that's why I think it's different at the time as opposed to in hindsight. I think so at the time, and this is something that happens a lot, and it's like I don't know if I would call it revisionist history, because I think like it makes sense. The further removed you are from something, I think the more objectively you can look at things, because you don't have that lens of you're in it at the time and you feel differently, maybe due to emotions and other things, which I think are valid to have within the conversation. But once you're able to remove yourself from that situation, I think you can look at things a bit more clearly. But if I'm in it at the time and I see a player, let's say I'm watching the NBA next season, and Wemby turns into 2013 LeBron, not like in terms of play style, but in terms of impact, and that's how good he is. And then the next year, he just looks back like rookie year Wemby again. While that 2013 LeBron year is happening, I'm probably going to be calling him the best player in the world. And then the next year, he's going to regress. And I'm going to be like, maybe he wasn't the best player in the world. He just had a great year. Maybe that's what it was. Like, I'm able to say that once I'm removed from the situation. But while it's happening, right, I can't see a 2013 LeBron type performance to say that's not the best player. Like, I can't do that personally. I can understand guys can get hot at the right time and like have a good year. But when it's a year to that level that no one's ever seen before, I can't just assume that's luck. I can't do that personally. But
when have we seen that?
To know how I would react.
No. I'm not talking about 2013 LeBron, because we've been talking about regressing and just going up and down, playing at a certain level and then coming back down.
Yeah.
Who that's been in like best of the world conversations, or who that has played at that MVP level other than Paul George, and it's not a diss. I'm just saying that's the only one I can think of that has been right here and then jumped into best in the world conversations, and then all of a sudden just fell back down. Giannis has been consistently up here. Jokic consistently up here. Steph was consistently up here and then slowly but surely teetered off. Same thing with LeBron. Same thing with James Harden. Nobody else is just teeter-tottered like that. So, like, for the most part, all of these great players that we're thinking of have been consistent.
Yeah,
even SGA.
At that level, I
Luka,
don't think it's
they've been consistent.
Fluctuate like that. At that level, I think
you're talking 1 year anomalies.
Yeah,
like maybe even 2
maybe even 2 or 3. Yeah,
maybe
you can say Joel Embiid,
Peja Stojakovic.
No.
Yo, Peja Stojakovic finished top 4 in MVP voting. Peja was awesome. But that was context.
That 04 year, I think was the year.
Peja wasn't. He's not in the conversation that we're talking about.
He was one of the top 10 players in the league that year. And
yeah,
but he wasn't.
But
he was playing like one of the top 10 players in the league.
Do you fight that, Ron?
Yes. I fight that.
No, but even if he was,
we don't even got to put no gloves on. We could go bare knuckle with that one. Like, come on.
All right, Jermaine O'Neal. Like there's plenty of guys who've been in that conversation for top 7, top 8. Like people talked about him like that, but then they weren't.
We're talking about historical players.
They were in conversation for number 1. Like, there's a bunch of guys who
we're talking about the
10 caliber years.
That's what I'm talking about.
But it's a backwards argument because they're historical for a reason.
I think that was Ron's point, that at this level, it's not, you don't have outliers, you don't have anomalies. Once you get lower down, once you get to all NBA,
but if they were anomalies, they wouldn't be historical. So,
yeah, I think
but if you,
but I think that's Ron's point. In order to be the best player in the world, I think Ron is saying the consistency matters because no one who's been the best player in the world was inconsistent at that level. So my premise of if I see someone at that level for 1 year, I can call them the best is because if anyone gets to that level, the history will tell us that this is not going to be an unsustainable thing because we've never seen someone at that level have.
What about B-Roy? What about B-Roy and Gilbert?
What about?
I'm just trying to get a gauge on things. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to figure out.
I think at the All NBA level, I do think you see fluctuation. Like someone in the chat said, Julius Randle. Like I actually think that's a good example.
How close were those two at their peak of at Brandon Roy's apex? Brandon Roy's apex. Brandon Roy was never considered the best player in the league. Never. Okay, that's fine. I won't say
B-Roy was barely top 10 if he was top 10.
Same thing with 10, 15-ish.
Same thing with Gilbert Arenas. At Gilbert Arenas' apex, he was never in the best player in the league conversation. That was never going on. Right. I'm not saying they were. I'm trying to see how close. I know where you at with this conversation.
Right. Bill Walton would be like the only one that's like he may have been in argument, but it was like Kareem was there, so was he really in an argument? And he just fell off because of injuries. Like that's like the only example of like best in the world level player who fell off. I think at that level, I do agree with Ron. I don't think you really fall off. I think the fall off happens when you're like an all-star level player who has an all NBA level season and then falls back to all-star levels. And like that, I think that probably happens more commonly. I think Julius Randle is actually a good example. Like that year, he shot 41% from 3, all NBA level player. And then every other year, all-star level player. Then like maybe last year or the year before, all NBA level player.
DeMarcus.
Like, so I think those level of players, I think they can fall off, but like year to year, just based on how well they shoot the ball, how well something happens in terms of different things. So I would say that level, but best in the world level, nah, I don't think you can luck into best in the world talks. I don't. Luck doesn't sound like the right word, but I don't think you can just have 1 year at that level and then fall off. I don't think that's possible.
That's why I think the gap between both Joker and Giannis, it's not substantial, but that's why I feel like there's a gap between both Joker and Giannis because one, we've seen Joker more in the postseason and we've seen him perform at a high level in the postseason. We've missed out on Giannis not being in the postseason off the strength of him being hurt, sure, but we haven't seen him. And to Mars's point, you know, when it's in real time and you see these guys on a regular, you know, what's in front of you, you tend to forget about what was going on. And we were having real conversations at the end of in the beginning of the 21-22 season and throughout the course of the playoffs. Giannis is the best player on the planet. That was a real conversation that we were having. But still, what do you mean we haven't seen Giannis in the playoffs? He got hurt these past couple. Now the fact that he's done it, okay, the fact that he's done it over the course of the last couple of years, sure. Over the last 2 years, we have not seen Giannis in the postseason. Right. And because we haven't seen Giannis in the postseason, and we have seen Joker in the postseason, even though he faltered last year, but he has gotten busy. And the fact that he's in front of us and we're seeing him in real time, and we haven't seen Giannis, it's almost like it's an out of sight, out of mind thing. That's where the separation comes in. Chill, we got to remember how upset people were, even though we all up here know MVP is a regular season award. Sure. We all know that. We have to remember how upset people were with Jokic for getting those MVPs because of how he was performing in the playoffs or the drop-offs his team was having in the playoffs and his inability to carry through that. I would argue that I'm more impressed with Giannis in the playoffs as a whole than I am with Jokic. Maybe not the year before last or 2023 or whatever, but as a whole, I might say that Giannis has performed better than Jokic. In the playoffs? I think that's a fair argument.
That's not ridiculous to say.
I don't think
it's not ridiculous at all.
But but
I wouldn't agree. But
neither would I.
And that's where I'm going with this. Because two things. Number one, we haven't seen it recently, and that's where the consistency logic comes in. So the fact that we haven't seen it over the last 2 years, Joker's been in the playoffs for the last 5 years, the last 6 years, since 2000. We've seen Joker 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, and they're probably going to make the playoffs again this year. We've seen him. The fact that Giannis hasn't been in the playoffs and the fact that what Joker did while he was in the playoffs, even though Giannis was awesome in 21 and he was awesome in 22, even though he ended up running out of gas. The same thing happened with Joker, and the fact that we've seen him more and what he's done, rebounding, taking care of the basketball, being an anchor for his team offensively, how they play off of him. And the fact that Giannis has been out of the picture, I think that's because availability matters. I think
he said as a whole, though.
What are we
So he's saying if we fast forward 10 years and you look at Jokic's body of work in the playoffs, let's say they both retired today. You look at Jokic's work in the playoffs, and you look at Giannis's work in the playoffs. He's saying as a whole, who has the better body of work? Now, once again, you said you said you can't give it to Jokic because because he hasn't played. No, you said you can't give it to Giannis because he hasn't played in the last 2 years.
That matters, Ron. Yeah,
but Giannis has still played in more years in the playoffs than Jokic has. So I'm saying we're talking about full body of work. We're not
injured though.
What?
I think there was 2 years where a lot of
does that not matter?
What about the team who's playing in the East? We're talking about the Brooklyn team in the East. That wasn't a slouch team. We're talking about Boston. We're talking about Miami. They act like these teams were just
no. We're talking about getting to the playoffs.
Let's talk. Okay,
we agree with that, right?
No,
it's easier to get to the playoffs.
I'm not talking about getting to the playoffs. I'm talking about performing in the playoffs. That's what I'm talking about. I said playoffs. So if we're going to talk about the weak East, if we're going to talk about the weak East, we're going to talk about that cakewalk that Jokic had in 23. Then, right?
Well, we don't have to get into these.
No. We do have to.
Oh no, we can get into it. Crack the door. Now Big Ox is kicking it down.
I was trying to keep it cordial. He want to talk about the weak East. Let's talk about that cakewalk in 23.
Literally,
Big Ox.
Any metric you want to use, Jokic.
Let me reel my man Ox back in. Hold on.
You got to put some respect on Giannis' playoff runs if you want to put some respect on Jokic's playoff runs. That's all I'm saying.
I'll give you one number, 61.8.
Let me get my man Ox.
What do you think I'm talking about? 61.8. What do you think I'm talking about?
True shooting?
Nope. I'm talking about Giannis' free throw percentage in the playoffs. 61%. You think that's terrible? 13 attempts. 13 attempts per 100 possessions. You shooting 61%, the most efficient shot in the game, and you don't think that hurts you?
Now give me Jokic's defensive rating. We can do. Come on.
You really don't want to talk.
Oh, now this is all of the defensive player. Once he turns into the playoffs, all of a sudden he puts his cape on and he turns into the new Superman trailer. Not the old Superman. He turns into Super Jokic on defense.
He was pretty decent in the playoffs when they won the championship. He was a pretty decent defender. And I will say that he wasn't Giannis, but he was pretty decent. And if we're talking just straight numbers in the playoffs, Jokic clears in every metric. You want to talk rebounds? Jokic clears. You want to talk assists? Jokic clears. You want to talk steals? Jokic clears. You want to talk points?
He does not clear in the rebounding department. He doesn't clear in the rebounding department.
You want to bet? You want to bet?
Please let me know how he clears in the rebounding department.
100 possessions.
When would we ever?
Let me know how he clears in the scoring department.
16.5 versus 16.4. Jokic clears.
How many 0.5? I'm sorry.
16.5 rebounds per 100 possessions. Jokic clears.
Versus what?
16.4.
Okay, this 100 possession shit.
Yo, Mars. Sorry. So, Ron.
Ron.
He clears
it like that.
He clears it by the piece of paper he can't jump over.
Per 100 possession.
He cleared it by the piece of paper he can't jump over.
You might be
but if you're telling me he's a better rebounder, he's not. If you're telling me he's a better scorer, he's not. There's a 5% gap. There's a 5% gap in true shooting percentage. No, 4% gap. That's big. That's big. When you're comparing superstars, 4% better is the gap between Kobe and Michael. Right, that's a gap. 4% is huge, man.
Absolutely. But yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because the reason
Jokic in his career has played 80 postseason games, and they've been like prime level Jokic. Like 2019, I'll go.
How many Giannis played?
Hang on, he's getting there, Pen.
So in 2019, and the reason I'm including 2019 because some people will be like, that's not prime year. He was averaging 25, 13, and 8 in the postseason that year. And they got to the second round. They lost to Portland in Game 7, if anyone remembers. So like from there to now, he's played 80 postseason games. From when Giannis entered his prime, he has played 64 postseason games, unless you want to include 2017, and then he's played 70.
Nah, we're not gonna do that. 22-year-old Giannis, he was a baby. Giannis, he was a baby.
That's most improved player Giannis, I believe. In the postseason,
no, it was the next year. He got most improved.
17 is when he won most improved. Yes.
2018 was when he started averaging like 26 and
that's when
okay.
But 2017 to 2022, because I mean I could include last year, but I mean 23, but he played 3 games and it wasn't really the best of Giannis. But if I did, he played 73 games. Point being, it's not a large sample of games. It's like 1 or 2 series difference. And they've both played like not really well, like for a regular player standard, they both play really well. I think the difference is, like, I would argue Giannis has just had more shortcomings in the postseason. You look at 2019, I think that was like a major shortcoming. 2020, he was hurt, but I still think that was a shortcoming. And then like you got that 2022 game 7 where he wasn't great. I'm not going to hold the series against him, but game 7 wasn't great. And then obviously you got last year with the injury, and then the year before that with the injury. So it's like, I think there's just more things.
We can't leave 23 out.
I think there's just more things. I think there's just more things to nitpick with Giannis. But I also think Jokic has some shortcomings as well in the postseason. Like last year against the Timberwolves, he didn't start the series great. Game 7, they blew that 20-point lead. Like you can throw some things both their way. I just think Jokic overall has probably been more consistent in the postseason. But then I'd like to like counter my own argument. I would say Jokic was a legitimate defensive negative for like 3 years in the postseason. Like legitimately from 2019 to 2021, he was actively making his defense worse in the postseason. I don't think Giannis ever had that where he was making his team worse on either side of the ball.
That was my question to ask you, Mars. Could we argue? Could I argue that Giannis was making his team worse offensively because from 2019 to 2020? Because here's why. There's a reason why they built that wall, because Giannis couldn't make jump shots. So because Giannis couldn't make jump shots, that now hampers their offense. Because Giannis couldn't knock down.
It beats the alternative of not having him out there on offense.
It does beat the alternative, but
so he's not making their offense worse.
But we can't really score as much as we'd like to with him being on the floor.
Chill,
no. He can't score even less if he wasn't out.
Mars, do you guard a 26%?
You guard a 26% with any replacement level big defensively, their defense actively gets better. If you replace Giannis with any replacement level offensive player, their offense would crater. So I don't think Giannis was making their offense worse. Right. I think their offense did decline, but that doesn't mean they would have been better off without Giannis.
Not only
I think with Jokic those early years in the postseason,
that's not what I'm
their
saying.
Defense would have been better off without Jokic.
Right, but not only that, Chill. It's like Jokic he was making his defense worse at that point. He's never made his defense better. You know what I'm saying? So he went from making them worse to just being there.
Now let me ask you this question.
He's never, you know what I'm saying? He's never made the defense better.
Right. So to counter that
that's
argument,
not true.
That's 100%. But to counter that argument and Mars's point, would they be worse off if he wasn't on the floor at all? Because like you just said,
defensively, yes. Overall, no.
Because now you don't have that rebounder on the floor. You don't have a guy in Joker who can rebound like that. Because I've always told you that rebounding matters when you talk.
Yeah, that ends the possession.
So now that you don't have that elite rebounder that you would have on the floor. The same logic with Giannis in terms of them being able to put him off the floor. So now that scoring presence that you have is gone. Well, if you take Joker off the floor, that glass cleaner, that paint presence. No, he ain't Olajuwon in the paint. No, he's not Rudy Gobert. No, he's not Rudy Gobert in the paint. But with him off the floor, are we worse now as a defensive team?
Yes, I think he's a really good rebounder. I think. In years like 2020, I would argue he wasn't even that great of a rebounder, if I'm being honest. But like, you get a replacement level interior big defensively, I think they can replace rebounding. They might not be as good as Jokic as a rebounder, but with the added rim protection and the added like just utility defensively, I think that will make up for a minor rebounding gap. And once again, I'm not saying this makes Jokic a bad player. I'm just saying I think Jokic is so good offensively that he still ultimately makes his team substantially better. Like, I'm not saying, the team is actually technically worse off because he makes their defense worse. No, I'm saying he was so good offensively that the fact that he hurt his defense didn't really matter that much. I just think Giannis didn't make his team worse on either side of the ball. I think Jokic did early on. I think the last, do you put 23 and last year, I don't think he made his team's defense worse in the postseason. I would say. And then 22, that was just a really bad matchup against the Warriors. So generally speaking, I don't think he would make his defense worse. Against the Warriors in particular, that was just a bad matchup for him. So I would say maybe those 3 postseasons. And everything before that, I just think he was a negative.
Y'all literally making me miss Swiper with the amount of shit you talk about Jokic when he's not on the show. It's absolutely insane to me.
If you think anything I just said was shit talking Jokic, then that's on you. Okay, cool.
No, of course you're talking shit about Jokic because you are presenting a case that this is a close, and it's not close, and you know better. Okay,
I'm presenting a case that he made his team's defense worse for 3 years in the postseason.
That's
none
fine.
of this has been none of this has been me saying that I'm not having a Giannis and Jokic big. I'm saying
so you're telling me that if they went to their backup big, their defense immediately got better.
No, I said if they went to a replacement level big.
Replacement level big makes their defense better.
Notorious.
Let's give some names. Robert Williams.
Who was a mediocre big in like 2020? Like, just give me a name of someone who's a mediocre.
Andre Drummond.
Dwight Howard.
No, he's a
Andre Drummond was not mediocre.
I'm just throwing names. No, Dwight wasn't mediocre. Ask Jokic. Who else?
But like, I don't get how me saying that Jokic was a bad defender early on in his career is hating.
Pin. So we can't point out Jokic's flaws. But you would sit here.
You're acting like a player shooting 26% from 3 does not hurt the spacing of their team.
You're pointing out Giannis's flaws, but we can't do that about Jokic.
No one said
that's what I was doing. But you're not. You're bypassing all of Giannis's flaws and be like, oh, we know that, but this guy's a better rebounder.
We are not bypassing.
Not. Hold on.
Because the question Chill asked was, could we argue that Giannis made his team's offense worse? And the reason I said no to that is because I've already explained it. That's not me bypassing his flaws. We can talk about his flaws.
Great player.
The fact that he can't shoot free throws is a flaw. The fact that he can't shoot threes or shoot jumpers at that time in his career is a flaw. Yes, but overall, their offense is still better with him on the floor. That's why I said he didn't hurt their offense in similarly to how Jokic hurt their defense. What I'm saying is not that Giannis's flaws don't matter. I'm saying overall, Giannis on the floor helps the team on both sides of the ball. That point of Jokic's career, he did not help them defensively. They would have been better off defensively with someone else. That does not mean he's worse. I think Golden State would have been better off defensively with someone other than Steph Curry. He was still overwhelmingly positive because of everything he did on offense. I'm just saying that you can't say that Giannis hurt his team on one side of the ball to the point they'd be better off without him on that side. It's just a different conversation you're trying to have. You're trying to use that as like, oh my God, you're saying Giannis is better than Jokic. You're saying that Giannis doesn't have flaws. No, I'm not saying either one of those things. I'm saying something that I thought was just seen as objectively true. Giannis is a positive on both sides of the ball. Jokic wasn't a positive on both sides of the ball the first 3 years he was in the playoffs. I thought that was just common sense. I didn't know that was something to be refuted.
So we take Joker.
Unanimously agree on that. Let's keep it pushing. But no, you're arguing against it for some reason.
So if you take Joker off the floor, that's what I'm talking about, Mark. Let's stick with the 2019-2020. Let's stick with 2019-2020, and we're gonna take Giannis. I mean, not Giannis. I'm sorry. We're gonna take Joker off the floor. And we're gonna replace him with, I don't know. Let's say Aaron Bain. That's in Phoenix. What happens to Denver now?
They did not make the playoffs.
Right. So if you take
because of the offensive fall off.
It's not just an offensive fall off though.
Yeah, that's what we.
If you take Joker off the floor in the 2019-2020 season and you replace him with like Miles Turner or Hassan Whiteside,
we're just talking about defensively, right? So let's say Jokic just picked up these defensive attributes. Let's say that the offense still stays the same, but on defense he turns into one of these guys.
Yeah, he's a better player, right?
I'm not saying that what Ron's saying. I'm saying because Joker is a negative, right? Because what I was doing is I'm pairing what Giannis's flaws were offensively. This is what I was doing. This is what I was doing. I was playing what Giannis's flaws were offensively and how much of a negative he could have been because he couldn't shoot and how much that was a detriment to their offense. And the same logic with Joker because Joker defensively wasn't very good. And if we take that off the floor, what happens to the Denver Nuggets if we replace what Joker did as a player? Take Joker off the floor and replace him with Hassan Whiteside. What do they look like?
Well, the team falls off a cliff. The team, because you're going to have Hassan Whiteside offensively as well. Your team sucks. But if there was a world in which the NBA was played offense-defense, so like the NFL, and you had Jokic for offense, and you had a solid defensive big for defense from 2019 to 2021. That's the years I'm talking about, because that's where I think Jokic was a clear negative on defense. And you just, when offense ended, you just put the solid defensive big on the floor. Their defense, in my opinion, would be better. I don't think if you had the same situation with Giannis, where if you said, we'll have Giannis on defense, and then the moment we get on offense, we replace Giannis with a replacement level offensive player, a mediocre offensive player. I don't think the Bucks offense is better.
You are disingenuously disconnecting offense and defense, and you know better. Mars, you know better. If anyone up here knows that you understand that there is a connection between offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency.
Because you're going to say they defend in the half court more. They set their
absolutely number one, number two. The possessions are more secure.
I understand what you're going to say.
Okay,
I'm aware of that. The point I'm still making still applies. Their defense
there is nothing on offense that you can point to at all that Giannis does better than Jokic. Okay, he's not a better free throw shooter. He's not a better 2-point shooter.
He's better at the basket than Jokic is.
100% getting downhill. He's better than Jokic.
He collapses defenses.
Yes, he does. That's not true, Penn.
He's a better driver than
better than Jokic.
There's things he does better.
He's better in transition.
And you would assume he has a higher 2-point field goal percentage?
No, because he has bad touch outside of the restricted area. So no, that would be another.
But at the rim,
Jokic is better in the mid range. Jokic has better touch in the paint, but in the restricted area at the basket, Giannis is better.
What do you really say? He's better. He's better at.
I don't know how many more times I have to make it clear. I'm not making the case that Giannis is better.
Penn, what part of this is not clear? The only point when he's getting to the rim, he's better than Joker.
Clearly a detriment.
It's not that difficult.
3 years in the postseason, 3 years in which I don't even call his peak. I'm saying from 2019 to 2021. I thought the whole world would unanimous. I think even Swiper, if he was here, would say
Mars, this isn't rocket science. You don't have to do this, Mars.
From 22 to 24, I'm saying I think Jokic has actually been a benefit to Denver on both sides of the ball. From those early years, the 2019 to 2021 years, if you want me to make it as much clearer as possible, let's see how many postseason games that was. From 2019 to 2021. So for 43 of Jokic's 80 postseason games, I think he was a negative overall defensively for his team. I think Giannis at no point was a negative on either side of the ball. What I do think is that Giannis never provided value on one side of the ball as high as Jokic did offensively. I don't think Giannis on offense or defense provided a ceiling as high as Jokic does offensively. But I also don't think there was ever a time where you was like, we'd be better off without Giannis on the floor for offense or for defense. I don't think that was a time.
So basically, Mars, what you're saying is Giannis filled both glasses up to the brim. And Jokic filled overflowing with one glass, but the other glass, it was nothing in there.
No. What I would say, if we were to use the glass bottle analogy, which I think could actually help, early on in Giannis's career, so prior to like 2020, so like 2017 to 2019, prime-ish Giannis, but not the level of Giannis that we know now. I would say he filled up the offensive glass about 65%.
Sure.
I would say he filled up the defensive glass about 85%. I would say
65%.
I think he was really flawed offensively. Really flawed. Yes.
Does that take away from his production and what he was doing?
Yeah. I don't. Keep in mind though. I'm saying he still provides 65% of a glass. If I were to compare that to a player offensively, 65% would be like an all NBA level offensive player to me. I just think once you start getting to the MVP level, and I think Jokic offensively filled the offensive glass like 112%. And then for the defense,
so the couple with
like
Joker.
20, I would say even the years he was bad on defense, like 2019 to 2021. I think he was, I would say 100%. I would say 100%.
So even 2019, Jokic's offensive value cleared Giannis's. It was night and day.
In the playoffs, absolutely. In my opinion. In the playoffs, absolutely. Not even a question. But if you disagree, that's fine. But 2019 to 2021 Jokic, I would say filled the offensive glass to 100% to the brim. And then filled the defensive glass to about 14%. Yikes. So if you added them both up, it would be like Giannis' percentage is higher. But I don't think that's how you should do it. Because I think once you get to 100% in either glass, that's value that can't be replicated with 75% in both glasses. Does that make sense? Does that? Yes, like if you have 75% defense,
no, I know what you're talking about.
Offense, I don't think that would trump 100% offense. So if you provide 100% offensive value, I think that's better than 75 in both.
See what a lot of people don't understand.
I'm not saying that Giannis is better than Jokic. I'm just saying that Giannis is still providing clear positive value on both sides. But Jokic if I didn't early on in his career,
I get that logic. But shit, if I could get, no, I don't want to do that neither because I don't want to take away from any of Olajuwon's. I don't want to take anything away from Olajuwon's offense or his defense. So, but if I could get 3/4 of Olajuwon's offense and 3/4 of his defense, that would be great. But if I could get 100% of Olajuwon's defense, I mean, I feel like that's at the top. I think that's at the that's at the brim of the bottle. But I feel like his offense, I think that's probably right here. I think that's at minimum 3/4.
What would Hakeem?
I don't want to take away from. I don't want to take a.
Like
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to take away from.
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from y'all. I don't want to take away from Olajuwon's offense, which leads me to my next question. When I was asking you guys, because I'm glad we're on this, is this because we're seeing this right now in real time? Because Penn's a math guy, Penn's a numbers guy. Because we have this stuff, we have the analytics, and because we have all of this stuff in front of us right now. If we had seen Olajuwon, Jabbar, Shaq in real time, plus we had all of these analytics at that time, we'd be looking at those guys differently.
I mean, Penn would start talking about how Shaq can't make free throws.
Bro, are we acting like, I know this is before your time because you were a kid at the time, but we were talking about Shaq not being able to make free throws.
I wasn't alive, so this is way before.
That was one of his flaws, no question.
Literally
about that.
Every
that was
day
a problem.
we were talking about Shaq can't be in the,
Definitely were.
Yeah,
we wouldn't talk about these guys.
Around and I started hearing, hey, man, you know, Tim Duncan in 2000, he better than Shaq because he can make free throws. If I heard that, I'm not gonna lie, I would call you an idiot.
What about 03, Mars? Would you say that in 03, Mars?
No, I think Tim Duncan elevated to another level. I think you can have that conversation. But if I'm hearing in 2000,
Tim Duncan elevated to another level, and Shaq came down a couple too.
Yeah, Shaq
but
came down.
Even 2003 Tim Duncan versus 2000 Shaq, nobody would say that.
Yeah, no, like if 2003 Tim Duncan existed in 2000s, and I heard someone say, "Hey man, Tim Duncan can make them free throws. He better than Shaq." I'm telling you to shut up. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I don't care. Yes, it's a weakness of Shaq. I acknowledge it's a weakness. The strengths are so overwhelming that I still don't care. He's still better than him.
Right.
Like,
but chill.
Less weaknesses doesn't make you better.
Chill. We wouldn't need the analytics. We wouldn't need the analytics or anything talking about Hakeem Olajuwon in 95 or 94 or 92 or 89. We wouldn't need
analytics. Say David Robinson was the best player in the world when MJ left.
That's fine, but we wouldn't need to have any of these talks, chill, because we were already watching it. Regardless of what any of that says, whatever they are, we don't need that for Hakeem Olajuwon. These dudes that we're talking about today aren't in that realm.
The reason why I bring that up, Ox, is because that's a talking point today. You know, we talk about box plus minus, and we talk about defensive rating.
That's all it is,
like
chill.
that.
Chill, that's all it is a talking point. That's all it is. It's just a filler. It's just a filler for microphones. It's just a filler for time. You know what I'm saying that's all it is.
That's the reason why the best Giannis has ever been. I just want to I'm talking about
he was fucking awesome last year, Mars. You think he's
yeah, I'm saying these last 2 seasons. I'm saying
like
these
we're in
last
the
2
peak years.
seasons. That's what I'm saying. I think Giannis is at his peak right now, which is
that's what I'm talking about, Mars.
Why are we able to compartmentalize offense but not defense? Okay, with Jokic, the conversation on defense, it can never go to, well, his defensive IQ, his defensive rebounding. We can never talk about the nuance of this quick hands. He gets a lot of steals. We don't talk about that, right?
Yes, we do.
Sorry about the little bit of hammering going on in the background.
Yes, we do.
But on offense,
don't worry about the hammering. Just hammer home your point, Penn.
Okay, but the offense, we don't compartmentalize it the same way. We can't talk about the lack of spacing that Giannis creates because he plays a certain way. We don't talk about the walling being partially a problem of Giannis's decision-making in the half court as well, right? The fact that the Raptors were able to wall up in transition took away Giannis's key, elements, and he kept passing out to the guy who was left open, which is Eric Bledsoe, and he kept breaking shots. But Jokic is not doing that. So the court processing that we're talking about, that matters. And I do think that if you're going to say that Giannis is great offensively because he does what he does well, then I think you need to talk about the fact that he doesn't do what he doesn't do well as well, right? Because there are holes. When you're talking about a guy who has the basketball as much as Giannis, as much as Jokic, then you're not talking about what happens when they don't have the basketball and where they need to be on the court. Jokic can clear out the paint and extend out to the three-point line and allow for driving lanes to the other players. Guys like Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon can get into the dunker spot. Whereas Giannis is always going to be occupying that space, and if he's not occupying that space, his defender is sagging off into the paint. I think that matters, and I think that it matters that Giannis has been at times playoff inefficient. His free throw shooting percentage has dipped 7-8% in the playoffs. His three-point shooting being 26%, 27%, 26% in the playoffs, that matters to me. It matters to me, especially when you're comparing him to a guy who is shooting the same percentage who was actually last year, prior to last year, because we all know Jokic had some major shooting issues last year. Do you know going into last year, Jokic was shooting better than Steph Curry in the playoffs from 3? That's not insane.
I told you, Mars, when I told you that James
41% is crazy.
Hey, can we get back to Giannis real fast? Can we get back to
Mars,
Giannis?
why are you looking like that? The stats say it's
Can we get back to Giannis? Because I think
that look for.
Don't get a better shooter than Steph Curry. I told you.
It matters also like can we please acknowledge that Giannis is almost always around the basket. Jokic is taking jumpers, taking 3-pointers. We understand that, right? Do you realize Jokic averages more offensive rebounds per 100 possessions per game too? People want to say, oh, why are you using per 100 possessions? Fine, we'll use per game. I was trying to be fair. When you do it per game, the gap is even bigger. The gap is even bigger if it's per game. If we're talking rebounds per game, it's 12.3 versus 12. Okay, the gap is bigger. It got from 1.1 to 0.3. You know, I'm sorry. We are legitimately talking about two of the greatest players of all time. I get it. You know, we really are. But really, the offensive gap is so large. And the defensive gap is very large as well. I'll hand you that. But let's not act like Jokic is just some absolute bum on defense and he doesn't do nothing well. Because if you're going to use that argument for Jokic, then you're refusing to compartmentalize defense, and you are basically saying Jokic is bad because he doesn't protect the rim. Whereas I'm going to say Jokic is not as bad as you're saying, even though the chat is going to lose their mind and be like, oh, but he doesn't get shot blocks. Okay, fine. He doesn't get blocks. Okay, but he's a big body. He's very, very smart defensively, especially in the playoffs when the series tighten up. He reads the defensive report well. He communicates very well defensively. He controls the defensive glass. There are elements. He's got active hands. He swipes down at the basketball. He racks up steals. How is this not advantageous for your defense? And he also controls the offense to the point where you're not giving up as much transition. He's not as turnover prone. I mean, I'm willing to bet that Giannis is more turnover prone.
Okay. Toast, he's arguing that I'm sorry, Ron. I'm this dude Toast in the chat, and I am paying attention to the chat. Toast, he's arguing that Joker is better than you say he is. That's what he's arguing. Pay attention instead of talking loud. You might learn something.
Come on, Toast. Wake up, Toast.
Damn, pay attention. All you want to do is argue and type in caps. Pay a damn attention. And again, I'm going to say this one more time for the people in the cheap seats. Ron is not hard to find on social media. If you think you like that, hit Ron up and come up here and prove it. It's that simple. John D has proved it. John D has proved it. Mars has proved it. If you think you like that, hit Ron up. He is not hard to find. Bring your ass up here and prove it. That's how we get to the bottom of that.
Boy. He also ain't hard to find in real life. So if you need me to holler at him for you, just hit me on social media and I'll pull up online for you. You know?
So while you over there running your mouth, hit Ron up and come up here. That's how we get to the bottom of it.
For a small fee.
You too,
real quick. I think the conversation around Jokic is because when you look at a 5-man, the most important attribute defensively should be the rim protection. And that's something that Jokic just does not do well. I mean, the entire game plan around the Nuggets defensively is to stop them from getting to the rim because our 5-man is not the best rim protector. So we have the right to make that criticism because that's not something that Jokic is great at. Just like how Giannis was getting criticized for his floor spacing and how that can translate to the playoffs and his free throw shooting. When Giannis take free throws, it still happens to this day. You hear fans counting to 10. Like Giannis still has open criticism that people attack all the time. So I think it's totally fair to say that Jokic was not the best or was a negative defensively earlier in his playoff career because that's a valid statement. Just like how Giannis had some offensive flaws in his earlier years in the playoffs and still could have some offensive flaws, even though he's been playing phenomenal this season, just stretching the floor a lot better and being a rebounder, a paint presence and stuff like that. But we have the right to have critiques for both players. Jokic defensively, Giannis offensively. I think both of them are valid.
When we're talking about the best players in the world, to Penn's point, we are splitting hairs here. This is not something.
No, he thinks it's not close. He doesn't think this is splitting hairs.
But that's where I'm at, Mars. That's where I'm at. Just when you're talking about it's like racing. Like if Mars is running a 9.87, I'm running a 9.9. That's like this. Now, I don't think that Joker clears Giannis. I do think that there's a gap between them two, but I don't think he clears him. And when
you define clear, what is clear? Can you define it?
There's no conversation to be had.
Like, is it a 10% gap you clear, or is it a 2% gap you clear?
There's no conversation.
I'll give you an example. Giannis and Donovan Mitchell. That's not a conversation. That's clearing.
Shea and peak Steph.
He's not close. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and peak Steph, 16 Steph and SGA. That's not a conversation.
That's not even clear. That's not even something we want.
These two are far apart. I don't think Joker clears Giannis. I do think he's better, and I do think that there's a gap. And there's a gap, and that gap is comprised, Penn, of the stuff that you talked about, like the 12.0 as opposed to 12.3, the rebounding margin of 1.3 offensive rebounds to 1 or to 0.9 offensive rebounds. All of that stuff adds up to like this right here. I feel like that's what that adds up to in terms of a gap. But in terms of him clearing Giannis, no, he does not. No, he does not clear Giannis. He's not substantially better than Giannis. That is not true. No,
Yo, Penn, I'm gonna let you rebuttal this, and then right after this rebuttal, we got to move on. Well, not necessarily move on. We just got to transition for a second. Sure. Go ahead. Do your thing.
I think as a court processor, he clears him.
Does everybody agree with that?
No.
Yeah, I think Jokic sees the floor better.
Holy crap.
And we all so Chill said no. Ox, do you agree with that?
Sure, I guess so.
Because I want to get the things out of the way with that we can all agree on. I agree with this. I agree with it.
He's better. He's better.
He is a level 2, maybe even 3.
I think Jokic sees the game at a level that
the thing that I do not like about this Jokic conversation is it seems like we are very much going out of our way to not give him his flowers for what he's doing. That's which bothers me a little bit. Hang on.
With
no, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, like, when you have a 6'11" playmaker who sees the game as well as he does, who's court mapping the way that he does, who's generating advantages the way he does, who's making players look like stars the way that he does, that element cannot be understated because it is the element that is elevating Magic Johnson into the top 5 conversations. Because Magic Johnson didn't have the court processing, we're not talking about Magic Johnson over Steph Curry. We're not talking about Magic Johnson over Scottie Pippen if Magic is not that level of passer. Well, can we acknowledge that Jokic is basically on par with Magic as a passer, or damn near close to it? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Okay, cool, that's fine. I think he is damn close. Okay, so
but by the way, tomorrow we will be ranking or tiering the top 30 passers in the NBA.
Currently, cool. Okay, so
he knows not to bring up
as a shooter. I believe that Jokic clears Giannis. Okay, and I want to point out something. There are certain players in the league that their percentages dip in the playoffs. There are certain players. Okay, so can we agree that he's a much better shooter from every level, except for right inside the paint, 3 feet and in?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So he's not better at dunking. Congratulations. He's not better at layups. Okay, but he is better at literally everything else on the court, which means he has more gravity in those situations.
Layup matter, man.
So wait, hold on, Pin. Before you go further, we've all agreed on the vision and passing. So Jokic
layups are serious business.
We could just stay clear. So Jokic clears passing. We could say clears. Chill doesn't agree with the word clears, but enough of us do. So majority agrees he clears. He also clears as a shooter. We agree with that, right? Everybody?
Yes. With that. Yes.
All right. Okay. Proceed.
I believe that he is much more difficult and lethal to double. So when you send a double, because all great players need to be doubled, whether you're talking Jordan, you're talking Kawhi, you're talking whatever, every great player in the playoffs is going to see double teams. I believe Jokic is lethal to double. So I believe that element of it is not an analytic that I can think of, but we'll call it double ability. I believe Jokic is a far harder player to double because I have seen the Raptors triple team Giannis early on in his career. If we're using Jokic's early parts, we use Giannis.
No, we're not doing that, Penn. Nope, we're not doing that.
He can do that. He's just said court processing in 2 different categories.
But keep going, Ron.
But I hear you. Would we agree? We agree. Also, my bad, Pino. Just real quick, I just want to ask a question. We would agree that Brad Miller was a better passer and shooter than Shaquille O'Neal, too, right?
We would agree that he was a better shooter.
He wasn't a better passer than Shaq. No, Brad Miller.
I don't think
Marc Gasol's a better shooter and passer than Shaq.
I'm just saying because the checklist argument is really dangerous. That's all I want to point out.
I agree. I hear you.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Just to you know,
we're not talking small gaps because the gap defensively or the gap as a passer between Shaq and Marc Gasol was small. Okay, the gap between Jokic and the field is large. Okay. So we agree with that. Now, as a playoff riser, now we all agree that there are certain players who tend to do worse in the playoffs as situations tighten up. Defenses game plan a little bit more, and then there are certain players who do much worse in the playoffs, better and worse, right? We've seen DeMar DeRozan do worse in the playoffs when you see his splits, regular season versus playoffs. And we tend, you started this question out, you started the show out by asking, like, what is it that unites all those great players? What is it that we're talking about when we're talking about great players? Well, I think we're talking about playoff risers. We're talking about players who do better when everything tightens up, when things go away from transition, when you're not necessarily only playing the Charlottes and the Washingtons of the world and stat padding against those teams, when you are playing great teams or good teams every single night, what happens to your numbers? And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about playoff risers. And all the players that I think are the greatest players of all time are playoff risers for the most part. Jokic is a playoff riser. He shoots better across the board in the playoffs. He plays better in the playoffs. I think that matters. We started this conversation out with, I think most people would have said Giannis is a better rebounder. The numbers show he is not. I think most people, this conversation started out with Giannis has played more in the playoffs. I think I heard that. If I'm not crazy, I heard that. Jokic
more years. But
Jokic has played more games in fewer years.
One more game.
He has played one more game.
It was like 7 games.
I think
I'm looking at it. It's 79. It's 79 to 80.
You're reviewing 2015
recently.
Yeah.
So
he played in the playoffs.
Okay. I didn't know you was I thought you was including prime years only. But okay,
Giannis has carried his team to more playoffs in more years.
That's when they played the Bulls, right? They played the Bulls in 2015.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is overall,
that was a Bulls.
If you want to say Giannis is a better paint protector, I agree with you 100%. But I'll point to the fact that Jokic is a better offensive rebounder. If you want to point to the fact that Giannis is, a more switchable defender, a more versatile defender, that you don't have to cover for him as much defensively, I'll agree with that. But I'll also say he's way easier to double. He's way easier to force into a bad shot.
But which one of those hold more weight, Pin?
Well, that's the equation, right? You're talking about
we don't need to have an equation for that. Like what holds more weight? The fact that I can guard 4 positions, or the fact that they can't double? Come on, bro. Like, be for real. Be for real. Which one holds more weight? Just simple question.
What holds more weight, protecting the paint or being a better offensive rebounder?
You know better than that, Pin. I don't think better than that.
Pin, that's not.
What holds more weight? What holds more weight? Getting double teamed or getting a Great Wall of China built to try to stop you?
Ron coming with the bullshit.
No, we're trying to have built a whole wall to stop Giannis. No, because that went over. Hey, that just skimmed over everybody's head and didn't nobody flinch an eyebrow when he said, "Oh, double ability," and y'all had never heard that word before. So, hey, double ability is y'all had never heard that word before, so it just tickled your ears and we just all let it go. What about triple ability? What about quadruple ability? What about wall ability? Huh? Donald Trump couldn't build that wall.
They built that wall because they knew he could not process the court well enough to exploit it. You cannot double or triple team Jokic. You can't do that.
Double ability. I'm with that though. Like I'm 100% backing you on that, Pin. As long as you got guys like Dirk Nowitzki, where it's like I don't give a damn about a double team. Dirk Nowitzki one of them ones, so I'm with you on that, Pin. I'm 100% sold with the double ability. I am no bullshit.
I'm gonna start using double ability for sure.
Yeah, but my thing about that is because if you got a guy, for instance, like Dirk one of them dudes where it's like I'll look at the opposite coach like, why are you doubling him? It means absolutely nothing. Stop doubling him. So you can go away from that, where I don't have to double team this guy because he's too good to double team, right? But on the other end of the court, if this guy can guard everybody except for maybe the point guard, we can't do nothing about that. Like there's no counter to that. So that's why I'm asking you, what holds more weight?
I think not being able to double team a superstar because they will shred you to death is probably the most important thing for a superstar. Now,
okay.
No, I want to say this.
All right.
Jordan and Kawhi can score over doubles, right? We know that. We have seen that. Right. That famous shot that Kawhi hit against the Sixers, that was Ben Simmons plus Joel Embiid, and he still hit it, plus right? So, sure. So what? If you look through Michael Jordan's the history of Michael Jordan's greatest game winners, how many of them are doubled? Man, that shot over Craig Elo is like they sent the whole goddamn team on him. Kobe's ability in the playoffs to score over doubles, that was impressive. Now, what happened when the Raptors tried to guard Kobe straight up? 81 points, right? That was Sam Mitchell's game plan. He's like, we're not going to double. So this is what I'm saying.
That's not what happened. He said he did everything to try to slow Kobe Bryant down. He doubled him.
Sam Mitchell captain for his life. Okay, right now he said before the game that we're not going to send a double team.
And then we changed the game plan. They changed the game plan.
Yeah, but at that point it was too late.
But it was too late at that point. But
that's not the only time Kobe wasn't double teamed. Do you think that's the only game in his career he wasn't double teamed? He was like, oh, no double, I'm scoring 81.
Well, I mean, it's one thing to not be doubled. It's another thing when your primary defenders are Jalen Rose and Morris Peterson. No offense to Jalen Rose and Morris Peterson as defenders. They're not great defenders. What I'm trying to say is that when you can't send a double because the guy is so good that he can score over the double, then you got to send like a double plus one. You got to send a triple. And at which point you're creating openings all over the court. We don't measure how open certain guys are. And I feel like that's where the analytics and maybe just the eye test needs to come in. You need to slow the game down and be like, how open is Eric Bledsoe because Giannis is such a force in the paint matters to me. Therefore, it also matters to me how much more open Aaron Gordon is on those dunks because Jokic is drawing two to the basketball. It also matters to me that Jokic cannot be double teamed because literally every double team leads to an open shot. He is processing the game at a very elite level. And I don't think that is something that we as fans sometimes are trained to see. But when you start slowing the game down, I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm just saying in real time, everything's happening so fast in the NBA. I'm telling you something. I watched the 99 finals, Knicks, Spurs. That game was so goddamn easy to follow in real time. I didn't need to slow down jack shit. But you watch some of the possessions.
You think that we can't see like the other game? You think we can't see that the OKC Thunder are crashing on Giannis and he's kicking it to the corner? We can't see that, Pin? Do you think we have to slow our TVs down to watch basketball? Because
you go watch it in hospital.
I mean, that is the reason I bought TiVo.
Ox, you might be better at processing the game in real time than I am, but I'm gonna tell you right now that there are certain plays where I think that I saw something and I go back and I slow it down and it was something else. So there's a lot happening on the basketball court off the ball, and we often hone our attention on the basketball, but we're not seeing off the basketball as much. And when you slow the game down afterwards, how many times have you heard a coach say in the post-game scrummer, I gotta look at the tape. I gotta look at the tape. I think that
applies to everybody. Then it's just it applies to everybody.
He doesn't watch NBA games,
right?
So you gotta look at the tape, and I think when you look at the tape, you will see the mistakes that certain players are making. I do think that early on in Giannis's career, I think he's gotten much better as a passer now. But early on, up until 2021, I was still seeing a lot of missed opportunities where there's an open shooter, he doesn't find him.
Hey, Pin, we'll get back to this. We'll get back to this. I do want to mention the one time that you was almost positive and you was sure about what had happened in the Raptors game, and I had to let you know that RJ Barrett did these things and he should have did these things, and you was telling me that my eye test was failing me. Never mind. Let's go ahead and get to the point. Yeah, but we'll talk about that later. We'll say that for another day.
Tank life.
PrizePicks is the proud sponsor of this show. And with PrizePicks, you can run your game, control your game, and win your game when you play just $5 and get $50 back instantly only when you use the promo code PANEL. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the good app and the good guys and the great things you can get from PrizePicks, because there's so many resources over there. Like the bigger payouts that are happening. They have new lineup payouts where you can get 1,000 times the money that you put into it. It's very simple. All you got to do is download the app, use the promo code PANEL, you pick more or less on a player, and instantly you have the opportunity to win 1,000 times what you put in. 3 easy steps. Pick your players, choose your lineups, get paid. And they have something very, 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 very sneaky right now going on. Let me go ahead and share my screen so I can show you guys exactly what that may be. Bear with me. Give me a sec. Here we go. Boom. We have 7 days of Merry Picksmas. And with Merry Picksmas, basically, you can choose a player like Nikola Jokic, and they will give you basically a layup with this player, meaning that with Nikola Jokic, if he scores just 1 point, you will be able to instantly win off of that. And so this is one of the promos that's going on right now at PrizePicks that you guys.
Did he just disappear?
I thought my Wi-Fi messed up. I'm like,
that's what I thought was going on. I was like, yo, am I all right? No, we lost
Ron's bad at his job. So
yeah. Super chats.
Yeah, let's
Did you super chats or did you share your screen? I don't know what you do. What's the protocol?
Super chats to Ron come back.
Super chats, okay. This is the worst host moment in history, by the way.
Garbage, trash.
Multi Kenny said it's good to see John D recovered from his sickness.
You under the weather? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been under the weather the past couple of days. I had to be benched from the Hoop Talk podcast for a game. It happens to the best of us, but
that's usually what happens when you live in 20-degree weather. That's what happens.
Yeah, man.
Runs back. Silence, guys. Silence.
Yeah. So, now that we got the app back up, let's go ahead and have some fun, fellas. Mars, Chill, Ox, and everybody that's tuned in. I know you were here yesterday, and you guys seen that we had already made a contest for today. Ox, you want to pull that contest up? But here's what's going to happen while Ox is pulling his contest up. Since we already made one for today, we're going to have a little fun. Chill, you're going to get 2 picks on your own contest. Mars, you're going to get 2 picks on your own contest. Same with me and same with Ox. And, we're keeping tally right now. We're keeping score. So here's what's going to happen. If you win your 2 picks, you get an automatic 2 points in the winning column. If you lose, it'll just only count as 1. So that's what we're going to do today. So Chill, Mars, Ox, y'all go ahead and set up what you want to set up.
Can I take that Jokic 0.5?
Yeah, nah. But that is the Christmas Day Merry Picksmas present that they're giving us that I was trying to show you guys before technical difficulties. But we're back. We back.
I'm going demons only, so I need to find some demon picks.
What kind of demon picks do we have?
Yeah, that's what I need to find. I need to find some.
I think Curry gets busy against Memphis.
Nah, he sucks.
He sucks on Christmas, actually.
Yeah, we're getting close to that period of time.
Yes,
man.
we are. It's coming, guys. That end of December.
That LaMelo rebounds and assists is free, by the way. Like that's
I was gonna say that. Like
but it's not a demon, so I ain't gonna do that. But
all right, scroll down. Let's find some demons from Mars.
Oh, was that Keontae rebounds?
Utah plays Detroit.
He probably gonna get 4 rebounds, but rebound demons are boring. I want 3s, but
all right, Ox, go up to 3s.
Yeah, let's find 3-pointers made. That's what I go with. I keep losing, but I'm gonna keep going with it anyway.
And they got the combos too. All right, here we go. Now we got
there we go. All right, cool. 3.5. We gonna go. We'll take Jade up 3s. 2.5. And what other demons we got? Let me find demons for points. Please. Thank you. All right, cool. Nah. What's Shay's?
45.
35 to Shay against Orlando.
He got to have a bounce back game, right?
Yeah, but against Orlando,
35 against Orlando.
Yeah, we might. Let's keep looking. We might come back to that one, but let's keep looking.
If anybody could do it, the third best player in the NBA can.
Why is this the only game in show? LaMelo doesn't have a team. Oh, what's Cade? I might go Cade.
Against Utah?
Yeah, Cade got me with 27. Cade got me with 27. Yeah, Cade got me.
Sure.
Yeah, there we go. Cade and Jacob.
All right, this is
Mars going on.
This is Mars. Ox, go ahead and put in $5 on the entry fee. Give him 10.
Yay.
All right, 10 to 45. These are Mars's 2 demon picks. Go ahead and send that through. Chilltown, you are up next. Let us know if you've seen something that you like that you want to run.
I want to take a look at that Golden State Memphis game. That's the game that I want to take a look at. These dudes haven't played in a couple of days, so they're gonna be super sharp. It's in Memphis.
Memphis game, you said, Joe?
Yes, the Golden State Memphis game.
Gonna wipe them.
Yeah, it's gonna be in Memphis. So there should be some good action on that game. As we all know, what do I have here?
Ox, go up to the calendar and click on the game.
Let's see. Curry 23.5. That's all I'm getting. That's all I got is 23.5 from Curry. I don't get nothing else.
They don't believe in him. That's the problem.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a lot of action in that game. Is it Curry 23.5?
My apologies, Ox. Just go team by team then.
That's fine. So I'm looking for a game with action.
No, you got more.
Ooh, Steph and Jaw combo. That was nice.
Yeah, you got more. We just got to type in Memphis or.
Oh, we do? Okay.
We got to type in team by team.
All right. I was just wondering.
There's demons for this stuff. Oh, damn.
What? Keep going up. Keep going up. The other way.
Down.
The other way. Keep going. I'm sorry. Down. I apologize. Keep going. Ja making 2.5 threes. I'm taking that. Yes.
Ooh,
yes. I'm taking Ja with 2.5 threes. And let's see. Go up a little bit. I'm sorry. Go down a little bit because I want to see what the line is with Jaren Jackson. Nope. The other way. What do we have here? Jaren Jackson, 6 rebounds. I'm going less on the 6 rebounds with Jaren Jackson. Yes, less rebounds with Jaren Jackson. You giving me 6? Go less with him.
Oh, Amen Thompson.
Yep,
they should have him at 3s.
Can't wait to go less on that.
Those are my picks.
Less than 6 rebounds is
a whole center. And you taking less.
Oh
than 6
my god!
I'm going less on Jaren Jackson.
It's gonna be his 15 rebound game. I see it.
All right, here we go. Chilltown is getting a demon pick in with Ja Morant.
Oh, they gotta be 2 different teams.
Damn. Oh, they can't be the same team?
Yeah, they're telling you that Jaren Jackson rebounds, man. You can't have that, man. You got
all right. So take that out. How about let me see what I'm looking at with the Warriors. Go if we can go back. I'm sorry, I'm holding us up.
No, you good. You good.
No, we
getting it right.
Okay. Andrew Wiggins 2.5 threes. No, I don't like that. Nope.
So you a Wiggins here.
Yeah. Well, Memphis does a good job of guarding the long ball line. They do. Let's see. I am going to take Wiggins with the assists. I think he can give me 3 assists. I do. I think Wiggins could give me 3 assists. Yes. There you have it. That's my demon picks.
All right. Chill chose 2 demons, and they're both at 2.5. The first one is Ja Morant to go over or more than 2.5 3-pointers made. And then the next is Andrew Wiggins to go more than 2.5 assists. There we go. Slide that through, Ox. That is $10 to $60. You got some, Big Ox?
Can't hear you, Ox.
He got Sabonis, PRA, in some capacity.
Who does Sacramento play tonight, by the way?
Yeah, 1 second. We play the Lakers. I already picked that. He already picked that. So
they play the Lakers.
I got that for our other one, so I can't do that. You know what? I could do it twice.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's how much I believe in Domantas Sabonis. It's easy. We're gonna do that. What other games we got?
Got some good basketball coming on today. Needed
every team is playing tonight, I think.
It's a 13-game slate, so
yeah, I think every team is playing tonight. I don't think there's no teams that's not playing tonight. Everybody's playing tonight.
Okay, Spurs playing Atlanta. You know what I'm gonna do? Let's show Wemby some love. Is he playing? I thought he was hurt, wasn't he?
He should be. He should be.
Philly ain't
but
playing tonight.
I don't keep up with
Philly tonight.
The Spurs in terms of injuries.
No Philly tonight. No Cleveland tonight.
I don't think so. That's all right.
Philly, Cleveland, Miami.
Nah, Wemby.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, let's go his PRA too.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, Big Ox with 2 demon picks with 2 big men. We got Domantas Sabonis PRA 44.5 more. And then we got Victor Wembanyama 49.5 PRA more. Should Vic's PRA be higher than Sabonis's?
That's what I found weird, but I'm gonna let that.
All right, well, Ox is choosing both of them.
It's because Domantas is playing against Anthony Davis and Victor Oladipo's not.
He's playing against Clint Capella.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, that's $10 to $90 for Ox. Send that through. You got it, Ox. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do some things that I haven't.
For like $40. I'm tripping.
How come mine was 45 and he got 19?
Because you chose the easiest bet. That's why.
Nah, that's crazy.
If you choose harder contests, maybe you'll get paid out a little more.
How did they determine what's harder?
All right, y'all. Let me go ahead and get the Jokic 0.5 points, and then let me get that LaMelo Ball more than 12.5.
Jokic gonna score 0 points just for you, Ron.
Yo, I'm gonna cry because I already have. I have money linked to that already. I'm just waiting until Christmas. Hey, I got $350 already in my pocket. All I need is Jokic to wake up and get a layup,
or hit a free throw. Portland.
Just one free throw, Just one free throw, Ron.
One free throw.
You good? The 0.5 is for Christmas when they play Phoenix.
Ox, I'm not gonna do that because then you guys are gonna complain. Oh, Ron taking easy contests and this and this.
This don't got nothing to do with the record, right?
So I do.
Oh, my bad.
Have you been here, Ox?
Kind of.
Let me explain it one more time. These individual contests that me, you, Chill, and Mars are doing will count as 2 if you win it. 2 to your winning column.
Oh,
but it will count as 1 loss if you lose.
If we lose.
Can I ask a question? How do you guys determine? Y'all look at matchup data. You look at historical data. Do you look at that stuff?
Oh, Pin, that's boring. We look at the players. Go to turnovers, Ox.
I just go with the demon.
So you don't want Jokic, Ron? No Jokic, Ron?
Nah.
Don't come at me if you lose money on this one, but the Raptors are facing the Brooklyn Nets tonight. Turtle is out. It's possible Scotty Barnes is back. When he tends to come back from injuries, he tends to be a little bit more passive. I'm going to tell you right now, RJ Barrett is going to go off.
All right.
Oh, all I heard from that is that Ben Simmons is going to go more. That's what I heard.
Type in RJ. Hey, you can take the LaMelo off too. I'm not gonna do that easy. That easy little nah.
They need to have Ben Simmons 3-pointers. I'll take the more or not for sure.
Yeah, hold on 1 second, Rama.
Well, technical difficulty. Here we go. All right. Go to Rudy Gobert's demon.
Oh my. Demon for points? Rudy Gobert?
Love it.
What? We got Rudy Gobert. Oh man, I missed that.
Rudy Gobert scoring double digits
against the Knicks. I'm taking it.
About to cook Ox.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all, can you hear me? My bad.
Yeah. There we go. He wanted Rudy Gobert points. Right? He wanted to see what the demon was. He wanted Rudy Gobert points.
Yeah. I'm gonna go RJ and Rudy Gobert, both their demons.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Just go RJ more.
Hold on. Okay. 1 second. Let me get rid of this LaMelo.
Pin, I swear.
What's his demon? I don't understand.
He doesn't have a demon.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm just telling you, his splits at home and away are crazy this year. I think he's averaging like something like 29-6-6 or something like 29-7-7 at home. Like it's nuts. And the Nets, I mean, I don't think they're a good defense. Y'all think they're a good defense? Cool. You know, and they got blown out last game. The Raptors have a brutal schedule coming up. Yeah, unlike some people here, I actually do care about the math when it comes to, you know, predicting stuff. So I think that it's important to realize that the Brooklyn Nets are pretty much the only easy game the Raptors have the rest of the year. So they really probably, from a pride perspective at home, want to win this game.
All right, Ox, go ahead and send this through. We got Rudy Gobert, demon pick, more than 14.5 points. And then we got RJ Barrett doing what he's technically supposed to do tonight, or so they say, more than 25.5 points. So, RJ, I need you to fill up the scoring column. Rudy Gobert, do what you do best.
Just so we're clear, I'm not saying he's going to score over 25 points. I'm just telling you he's going to have a decent game. He might do it with 10 assists.
Nah, Pin, you told me so.
Nah, it's too late now.
I went on your word.
Already in it. All right. Already in it.
All right, well, y'all, we got a couple super chats, so let's go ahead and read these, and then I want to get back to the historical season that we were watching this year. We kind of got sidetracked, and we went down a couple different paths, but I want to specifically talk about why this season is so historical between these two guys and maybe other guys. But let's go ahead and dive into it. We have super chats, so let's make it happen. Joshua Grimes said, just for box office purposes, what two final matchups would you say would be good for the league? I would say the Nuggets and Lakers, or Boston and Knicks.
Bucks Nuggets. What?
Bucks Nuggets.
You're probably talking about conference finals.
Boston.
Okay.
Lakers Boston is always good, isn't it?
Yes.
Lakers New York is obviously two big markets. Anytime LeBron's in the finals, that's good. Anytime Steph is in the finals, that's good.
What would be a great finals? What would be a great finals is Philly and the Nuggets, and Joel Embiid would be healthy. That would be a great finals. We would
Mavericks versus Knicks. Mavericks versus Knicks.
Only except we got one dude that's just not available. So
Philly would be good, yeah. But for box office purposes, I'd say anything with LeBron in it. So Lakers,
KD,
and then I would probably say Boston, Lakers, Boston, probably the most.
Denver, Milwaukee.
Ain't no one trying to
so we can settle this debate.
Denver, Milwaukee would be crazy.
Yeah, the only people watching that will just be old people. We're not interested in that.
Oh, OKC and Celtics too. I mean,
OKC, box office. OKC,
the two top teams in both conferences. Record-wise, more than likely.
That's good for basketball purposes.
Yeah, we talking box office, not what's good for the game.
Okay, all right, for sure.
Because Ron, just so you know,
what's good for the game is narrative.
In the finals.
Narratives and rivalries are good for the game, right? So what we want in the finals is young star goes up against aging dynasty. You know, Jordan versus that. Like, we want Jordan versus the Celtics. We want that. So in terms of that narrative, I think best in the world, Jokic versus Giannis in the finals would be a very, very good one. I think OKC versus Boston, so like OKC, the rising stars versus Boston would be good. I think Luka versus the Celtics would be interesting as well, because you get the repeat. You try to see like, hey, we get that round two element of it, right? Which creates a rivalry because things were made last year. But I think underrated would be New York, because I think New York has been very good this year offensively. They can figure out their defense. Them versus Dallas would be really crazy. I really like that matchup.
Yeah,
because
I think
you get the big market, right? Because like you get the big market, and that's important too. Like let's be real. Like, so the ratings are off a little bit right now. You get a team like New York, which among the market teams, the big market teams, that is the team, right? I think also another one could be Phoenix. Kevin Durant, a ring outside of Golden State. I think that could be huge too.
What, Phoenix versus New York? Phoenix versus Knicks?
Phoenix
versus the Knicks would be crazy.
I like that.
Phoenix versus Boston would also be great as well.
What about Steph?
I can get behind either one of those.
So we got a Warriors versus Celtics rematch. That'd be fire. And then also
I know how that was planned, though.
Warriors versus Knicks.
Warriors versus Knicks.
Two big markets. You got Marquis.
Steph gotta go crazy in the Garden.
All right.
I would like the Knicks to play pretty much any of those teams that y'all ran down. Obviously Boston too, but I'd like I was saying a second ago. I don't think that Lakers Boston thing. I don't think that's even alive anymore. I think that's dead now.
I think a couple of playoff series that could be really interesting just from the East or the West period. I think a 7-game series of Dallas versus Golden State would bring in a lot of fans just to see Klay go against the Warriors in a full 7-game series, or LeBron versus KD in a 7-game series. A lot of people are going to go and watch that. That's been a while.
Still on that? We still on them?
Yeah, I mean, KD 2-1 right now. KD 2-1 in those matchups.
Warriors versus the Knicks would, like, I think that's tickling my brain a little bit, because Steph having a chance to get that 5th ring, putting himself in potentially Magic Johnson conversations, clearing Magic Johnson on the rings. I think that would be huge. I also think the Minnesota Timberwolves, with the charisma element of and the young star element of Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, that thing, going up against the Celtics would be interesting as well.
Oh, that hate watch is going to be crazy. Who's people going to pick, Tatum or Rudy? You got to hit on one.
You need the American stars in the finals, so that's why I'm not trying to listen to Jokic or Giannis. The box office, you need the Americans. So Jason Tatum, LeBron, Steph. Ideally, the young Americans. So maybe it is an Ant versus Boston finals for the box office, the new face of the league or something. I don't know.
I can just hear the edits right now. You see one clip of Michael Jordan going up against Larry Bird. Now you see Anthony Edwards going up against Jason Tatum, and they're just trying to create the parallels of the past and the present. I think the best finals are the ones that feature stars, feature big markets, and feature some sort of historical context. You hit those 3 check boxes: Lakers versus Celtics, Kobe versus Paul Pierce, KG, etc. Kobe going up against this, big 3. That's like the best finals that I can think of.
When was the last time we got a finals with all 3 of those aspects, though? Like with the superstars, with the big market, and with the historical backtrack.
That's a good question.
I mean, if you were to say the 4P of the Cavs and Warriors, but that's kind of like recent history.
Nah, the Cavs market sucks.
Exactly.
2010.
Is there like I don't want to jump around too many questions, but is there a team, like, Chill, especially to you, I would ask this question because you're the real OG up here. Is there a team that you really wanted to see Michael Jordan face up against in the finals that you didn't get to see, other than Houston? Because I really wanted to see that. I wanted to see Hakeem versus Jordan. I never got to see it in the finals. But is there another team? No, you got to see it
versus Kobe.
Because the Bulls and Knicks should have been a final series. They were just in the same conference, in my opinion. But
Penn, you would propose the Celtics and the Wolves. I maybe have one better for you. Celtics and the Knicks. They both made that offseason trade. You got Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo versus his old team.
The Wolves and the Knicks, you mean?
Oh, the Wolves and the Knicks, my bad.
Yeah, I was confused. The Celtics in the same conference.
My bad. The Wolves and the Knicks.
16-team playoff. Let's do it.
You got DiVincenzo versus Villanova, his old teammates. Then you got Ant in the Madison Square Garden. And you got Karl Anthony Towns versus the team that
there's one more factor I think that's missing from this. It can't be conclusive what the outcome will be. I think that's also very important. There needs to be some element of a 60-40, 50-50 element of it. Like, this is one great team against another great team. I think the worst thing is when you go into the finals and it's already obvious what's going to happen. I think that's why people hate super teams so much.
We got a super chat from Tough Bradley. He sent through $99.99. And he said, "Hey guys, I just graduated on Monday and landed a great job. Watching y'all the past 2 years made the college grind so much easier. Thanks for the laughs and everything y'all do. Keep up the great work that y'all do for the b-ball community."
Yo, shout out to being grown and getting a job. Shout out to being Tough Bradley. We're gonna put Tough Bradley name.
Congratulations. Yeah,
congratulations. Put Tough Bradley name next to educated black man. I got him right. All right, brother. All right, you in
shout out to you, brother.
Yes, sir. I like it. Absolutely.
Now the rest of y'all out there, get off your mama's couch, wash your funky ass, go get a suit, a dress shirt, something.
Go get a job, yo.
And go out there and apply yourself. They got a community college right down the street. You drive past it every day to go pick up some Mary Jane. Hey, maybe stop by there, go to the admissions office, go talk to a counselor and do something with yourself.
Put an application, yo. They'll put you on. You can still go get the sticky icky too, just so you know. But you can stop by and fill out an application. You can do that.
I mean, have y'all ever seen How High? Go watch it. It may give you some motivation.
You ever ask yourself why people
the ivory get you through? What?
You ever wonder why people procrastinate?
Fear.
Absolutely. Yes. It's perfectionism. It's like this idea that you might fail, so you don't start, you know. And I found a solution to this because I procrastinate a lot in my life. I've put off things where I'm like, man, my life would be so much better if I did this. And something happened recently where I said, okay, I asked myself, is what I'm putting off aligned with my values? So if it's going to the gym, is health aligned with my values? Is if it's making money, is building wealth aligned with my values? If it is, then I view the thing that I'm viewing as a fearful thing or a chore, I view it as a gift. It's a gift to be able to go to the gym. It's a gift to be able to make some money. Then it changes and take bite-sized pieces. To anyone out there who's trying to replicate the success of this young man, I would say break it down into a smaller piece. Take it one step at a time. Don't think about, oh, I got to make $1 million. Think about, I got to make $2. I got to make $10 and stack your victories.
That's good knowledge right there, Ken. Facts. But what about the ones that's just lazy?
I don't believe in that. I believe that's an excuse. I believe, you know, people are lazy for a million different reasons, but it's not real. Like you putting off something. Maybe you don't believe that you deserve success. I feel like a lot of people quit before they even start. I think a lot of people walk into a job interview thinking, oh, I'm not going to get this. No, you got to envision that you deserve it first. First, you deserve.
Right. Spitting right now. And you got to love yourself. You got to love yourself.
A really good point. No doubt.
Bill
Laimbeer said he operated on fear of failure. I think it's actually the opposite. That's why we don't have as many successful people, because failing isn't that big of a deal. Like if I'm a screw up, you expect me to screw up. So ain't a lot of people expecting me to do much. So I'm screwing up anyway. But guess what happens when I get something right? Now the expectation goes up, and now you expect me to do it right. And not only do you expect me to do it right, you do too. And then you expect me to do it right. And then I get another thing right after that, and that expectation raises even higher. So now when I start to be more successful, there's more pressure. And there's a lot of people who don't want to deal with that. So I'd much rather just be this as opposed to being this.
Everything in life comes back to alignment, right? Like it's all about alignment. It's like if I believe, you know, everyone thinks I have this great expectation. I have this great expectation. I have a great expectation. I want to make money. I have a great expectation. I'm going to find this really fly honey. I have this great expectation that I'm going to get this job. And it's like you actually do not get what you expect. You get what you settle for in life. 100% of the time, you do not rise to your expectations. You actually fall to your standards. So if your standard is honesty, you will not suffer dishonesty. The first person you meet that's going to be dishonest, you leave right away, right? The power to walk away from bad situations was something I learned the other day. Was like really thinking about this hard. And I was like, every time you say no to something, you saying yes to something else. When you say no to the shit job, what are you really saying yes to? I deserve better. And go out and get better.
Fair enough. Yeah.
That ain't meant for everybody, though. I ain't meant for everybody. Some people ain't gonna get it. And you know, hey, we need bumps. There's a natural order of things. So,
and don't leave and please don't leave out you being the power of your mind. How many things you've manifested with your mind? If you think you could do something, you probably could do it.
We were all born kings and queens.
If you set your mind to doing it. If I automatically come into something going, I can't do this, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm done.
We were all born kings and queens. Every child, every baby out there is born a king or a queen. It's your mindset. It's your environment that tries to teach you to be a peasant. Refuse.
All right, y'all. Hey, that was some dub knowledge right there. If you picked it up, you picked it up. If you missed it, maybe next time. But we got a super chat from J-Rock. We got a super chat from J-Rock. J-Rock said, this question is for chill, but everyone can join if it's a conversation. Who's the better playoff performer, Derrick Rose or Russell Westbrook? Who you got, chill?
Russ.
I don't think that should be a conversation.
Yeah, I think it's Russ. And not just because we've seen him more, but I feel like he just did more. He was better in the playoffs than Derrick Rose was.
John Z, how'd that make you feel?
I'm sorry. You know, man, right now, I'm not a fan of basketball. I'm an analyst of basketball, so I have to be truthful to what my eyes are telling me. And I think Russell Westbrook was better. But as far as the moments that I gotten from Derrick Rose just being a Chicago kid, I can never I can never go against that man. I can't. But
shout out Derrick Rose. Shout out Chicago. Julius Irving said 2 most important things in b-ball: score and stop the opponent from scoring. Giannis is better at both. Great two-way players win most rings. Reason why nobody thought Magic was better than MJ.
Question.
I don't even know if I think Giannis is a better scorer than Jokic.
Giannis is a better.
I don't think he is.
I don't know
no,
if I think
not.
that. That's what
I don't think he is.
He's not.
Wait. Hold on, fellas. Ron, Giannis is a better scorer than Joker. Why?
Because he puts the ball in the hole.
Okay, it's not.
But he doesn't. He literally shoots worse from everywhere. How does he put the ball in the hole better?
Chill. It literally is 2 + 2. Chill. It is that simple. Who puts the ball?
But define better, Ron. Like why? What makes him better at putting the ball in the basket?
All right, so obviously you guys are going to run to Jokic being able to shoot threes. Obviously, you're going to run to him being able to shoot it. Hold on, I'm making my point. I'm making my point. You're going to run it. You're going to run to Jokic shooting threes. You're going to run to Jokic making mid-ranges, and you're going to just say Jokic is a better shooter. Okay, but shooting is not scoring. It's not. We can agree on that. Scoring, it's more to scoring than shooting.
It's a part.
Shooting does lead to scoring.
It's not all of it.
Shooting is not scoring. Can we put that on a t-shirt, please?
No, we can't. No, we can't.
Why can't we put
new PC t-shirt, the worst selling t-shirt in PC history?
Shooting leads to scoring, Ron. Shooting 100.
You can't score by shooting. It's a part of scoring, but it's not all of scoring.
You can also score.
But keep going.
All
right. So when we're talking about scoring, Giannis is and his bag is very underrated. Very underrated.
No,
right now today. Giannis, you guys don't appreciate. Are we talking about now or are we talking about 2019? You guys don't appreciate what Giannis gives us now because you guys are so stuck in 2019 and him being a run and dunk man. We don't give Giannis credit for his jump hooks. We don't give Giannis credit for his turnaround shots. We don't give Giannis credit for what he's doing right now in the mid-range, knocking down these mid-range shots. We don't give Giannis credit for. See, John D, you making that face. We're not giving Giannis credit. We're not giving Giannis credit for his mid-range bag right now. We're not.
You really turn up your mic 2 decibels to cook water.
We're not. We're not giving Giannis credit for the way he's able to get downhill at will. Dunk on people, layups, all of that. We're not giving Giannis credit for his ability to just dominate around the hoop. We're not giving Giannis credit for his ability to run the floor and score in transition.
How the hell do you think he entered the GOAT conversations in the league?
We don't get much of that from Jokic. We don't get much of that from Jokic. Giannis's ability to run the floor, get wide open layups, dunks, push the break, things like that. Giannis scores in a wide variety of ways.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
and I didn't expect you to make the blotch around the rim, and now he started hitting some.
No, this is what I'm saying though. Giannis has versatility that we don't acknowledge. When we think about Giannis scoring, for some reason, everybody just thinks dunks. He didn't give OKC a bunch of dunks. OKC got bucketed in a ton of different ways.
That wasn't a playoff game.
Okay, we can go to playoff. We can go to playoffs. Giannis has a large body of work in the playoffs. We can go to that too, and it wasn't all dunks. We get mid-range jumpers from Giannis in the playoffs. We get floaters from Giannis in the playoffs. We get jump hooks from Giannis in the playoffs. We get turnaround jumpers from Giannis in the playoffs. We get fast break buckets. We get alley-oops. Alley-oops is still a form of scoring. Y'all might hate it. But we get alley-oops from Giannis. We get backdoor cuts from Giannis. Giannis moves off the ball. Jokic doesn't get off-ball buckets, does he? Giannis does.
Does he not? He operates off a pin down buckets.
Ron, that was the bad one.
No, I'm talking about off-ball buckets. I'm not talking about catching and shooting. Okay, he does get that, and Giannis doesn't necessarily get that. I'm talking about you're rolling. I'm throwing you lobs. You going and getting it. Things like that.
Well, yeah, he doesn't catch.
You watch those cartoons,
that's a whole. And I've argued this before. That's a whole nother level of scoring that we don't talk about. Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Jordan, guys that Chris Paul has made a living off, and Russell Westbrook, Trae Young has given guys a career off of being able to go and score lobs. That's probably one of the easiest ways to score in basketball.
I agree.
Giannis eats off of that.
Score off ball. That's
okay, and I corrected it. He does score off ball, but I'm talking about in that way. In that
who else scores like that? Capella. Let's talk about his greatness.
And that's an ability to score that very few people in the league have. You guys are gonna try to pin. You're gonna going to try to come and sit and undermine it and make it seem like that's not a big deal. But that is a part of scoring, and that's a whole nother level that they're able to unlock. Hey, a little guy like Trae Young or Chris Paul being able to get into the teeth of the defense, draw a defender, and just throw it to the rim, and a guy like DeAndre Jordan being able to come and clean that up, that is very valuable. Giannis provides that.
But when we're talking about greatest players in the league, role player buckets are not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the superstar buckets. And Giannis gets superstar buckets. Giannis got superstar buckets in the in-season tournament against the Phoenix Suns. Against the OKC Thunder. They couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't do anything about Giannis in the mid-range. They're not equipped to deal with that. And
do you understand what he means when he says superstar buckets? Do you know what he means when he says that?
When he scores on double teams?
No,
it's not just double teams.
Give him the ball and we can get something. We can get something with him.
So we don't get that from Giannis. I just broke down everything that you guys don't appreciate that he gives you and that you don't appreciate. You sleep on it. You call it trash because he doesn't shoot a three. Pin.
It's not just
when he catches the ball on the block and goes to work. I seen him the other night make a turnaround jumper on the block over his left shoulder. I seen him do the one where he did this, fall away and hit that. But you didn't appreciate that.
Was Jokic not the best?
Did I not appreciate that? I sent you a DM and I came on and I told you I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But please don't act like Jokic doesn't do that shit in his sleep.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm not saying he doesn't.
Okay, cool. So look. When I consider advantage and advantage generation and advantage extension is basically the equation of are you a superstar or are you a role player? Now, I'm assuming at some point we're going to be talking about the players who are popping off this year because we're supposed to do that at some point, but I don't know if we are. But a guy like RJ Barrett is a great example of a player who gets a lot of shots out of somebody else creating advantage, either in transition or, he's back cutting and he's just scoring at the rim. Giannis is like 100 times better version of doing a lot of that stuff, right? Now, what moves me with Giannis is when I can give him the basketball and he can draw a double team or cook a really good defender one-on-one, go to the basket, collapse the defense, pitch it out, get an open three for Dame, get an open three for Gary Trent. That's what moves me. That's the superstar stuff. I don't need advantage. Transition in itself is an advantage. Pick and roll, where the defender falls asleep and miscommunicates the switch is an advantage. I don't care how you score out of that because Clint Capella can score. And if Clint Capella can do something, I don't value it as much. What Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant could do was create advantages in the half court out of a standstill, which means you give them the basketball, defense loads up, nothing they can do. Still going to be 2 points. That's the advantage. So Giannis is doing a lot more of that. Credit where credit is due. Jokic been doing that for the last 6 years, though.
Quick question. The Clint Capella point. Is it the fact that Clint Capella is not the same tier as Giannis that makes you not value it? Because just because Clint Capella is a way lesser player than Giannis doesn't mean he doesn't do things that are valuable. I think looking at what Clint Capella does and say that, Giannis is doing it, so that doesn't make it valuable. I wouldn't say that because I think there are lower NBA or role players who do things very valuable that make it actually valuable. Just because a superstar is doing it, it's like, that's not valuable.
I think the Clint Capella archetype, the Daniel Gafford archetype, minus the playmaking that someone like a Draymond Green or a Derek Lively can bring to it, becomes a lot less appealing to me because you always need somebody else to create your offense, which means
they need somebody else to finish their plays. So it goes both ways.
They don't.
Just like Jokic needs shooters and cutters to be able to get him open. And so people can't send doubles because they fear the off-ball movement, or they fear that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. is over there, so I can't help off them, and that opens up the lane for Jokic. It's the same thing.
What we saw with OKC falling apart is very important because they have a lot of guys who finish plays. Isaiah Joe is a play finisher, right? Lou Dort is a play finisher. It doesn't matter that they shoot 42% from three. The point is that when you take away Shea's comfort zone and Jalen Williams' comfort zone, and you take Chet Holmgren off the court, which is the guys who could create the advantage at a standstill, you have guys like Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, who cannot create that advantage. Now, they may be fine players in their own context, 3-and-D. Some people think Alex Caruso is the best 3-and-D player in the league. Some people think Lou Dort's top 5. But when you take the context out of the advantage creator, then you find that the players who can create advantages in the half court are probably 1% of the league at a league average efficiency.
Right.
The rarity of that skill set that Shea can create, that Giannis can create, that Jokic can create, that's what makes them elite. They're complete basketball players. I talked about this literally yesterday on our podcast, where I was talking about the completeness of a basketball player being a 3-level scorer, being able to generate advantages in the half court, being able to, create advantages at the rim. So if you can't finish at the rim, I hold that against you. So Fred VanVleet, you can shoot from 3, cool. You can extend the defense out to 28 feet, cool, but you can't finish at the rim. You're not great with them. RJ Barrett, right? Great example. Goes to the rim all the time, drives, not the greatest 3-point shooter, not a great mid-range guy, doesn't go right well. So I look at a guy like Giannis and I say, what can I scheme against? It's the same thing with Jokic. It's like, what can I scheme against? With Jokic, offensively, I can't scheme against anything. That dude is a demon on the left block, right block, left corner, right corner, above the break.
But we actually can't scheme against him, though. We can scheme against him on offense. We can go after him. We can put him in precarious situations.
Into the pick and roll.
So 100%. So which does not make him a complete player. So that's just not true. But I'm sorry if I interrupted. Keep going.
Right quick, Penn. I want John and Mars to ask their questions.
Just a quick thing. So when we look at play finishing, I think AD is one of the better superstars offensively in the NBA, and he's majority of a play finisher, whether it's get the ball, jab step, mid-range shot, catching lob,
27 a night,
putbacks. And he does the majority of that off of play finishing. And you wouldn't say that Anthony Davis is the best at going out and getting his own bucket, but majority of his buckets are play finishing. So I think that's valuable, whether it's having a solid mid-range shot or tipping the ball back in the basket or being a lob threat or just being a consistent presence down low to get the ball off the catch, make a move, and put the ball in the basket. Play finishing is valuable to superstars. Now, it may not be as valuable when we're talking about top 4, top 5 in the league as a scorer, but when we look at some of the better offensive players in the league, which Anthony Davis is one of, majority of it is coming off of play finishing. So I think that's a lot more valuable than a lot of people give credit.
But there's a reason why Anthony Davis is consistently put below Nikola Jokic, and a reason why Bam Adebayo isn't in Joel Embiid conversations, because it does matter how well you can generate offense when standstill, and that's what makes Joel Embiid, when healthy, so great, because you can literally dump it into him at the block, at the mid post, even at the at 3-point range, and he can literally jab step, 2-step, pull up.
Where's he the most effective in your estimation? Joel Embiid, where do you think he's the most effective?
Everywhere. That dude is effective everywhere. That's what makes Joel Embiid so great, is that he's a 3-level scorer. You can't just hack him. You know what I mean? With Shaquille O'Neal, you could hack him. You put him at the line and he's going to miss a lot of free throws. With Giannis, you could hack him. With Giannis, you can ignore him at 3. I know he's hitting the mid-range pull-up right now, but congratulations. You can now almost get league average on the least efficient shot in the game. You're not really impacting the game when, you know what I mean? Like, consider a situation where Giannis is trailing the play and not handling the basketball, because we know Giannis' usage always like 37, 38%. But imagine Giannis is not handling the basketball. Imagine Dame is handling the basketball and Giannis is trailing the play like a Brook Lopez or a Nikola Jokic would tendency. Do you have to run out to Giannis at the 3-point line?
Yes, you do. In fact,
yes,
you do. Yes, you do. I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm gonna tell you why. And see, this is why you have to be between the lines to know what's going on.
You're gonna say the same thing I would say, and I never played basketball in my life, so don't use that argument.
Well, I was saying that to Penn. I was saying that to Penn, and anybody else who doesn't understand, not you. If you understand, you understand. If you understand, you understand.
We in transition, and we got the secondary break, and I'm back. Why do I have to chase out the Giannis at the long ball?
If Giannis is running the floor and he has a full head of steam, or even he doesn't even have to be running a full head of steam. Giannis could just be jogging up the floor. But if I give the ball to Giannis at the 3-point line and he takes one dribble downhill at me and I'm not there to either A, deny him the ball, that's ideally what you would want to do. Deny him from catching the ball right there, because you know if he catches the ball with a full head of steam, it's a wrap. Hold on, Penn. If he catches the ball with a full head of steam, nobody's stopping Giannis.
Right.
Okay. So that's one thing. He might not be a threat at the 3-point line, but if you let him catch the ball at the 3-point line with a head of steam, it's a layup or it's a dunk. So you want to deny him the ball. But
3-point gravity comes down to
I'm not talking about 3-point gravity. I'm not talking about 3-point gravity. You don't have to score at the 3-point line to be a threat at the 3-point line. If he's running the floor, you have to pick him up at somewhere around the 3-point line, because if he catches the ball, he's getting there. That's not pinch point, but that's my point. You still have to.
You have to guard Giannis at the 3-point line.
Ron said yes. You don't have to guard him for the 3-point shot, but you have to guard him for a layup, because once again, if Dame has the ball and Giannis is because he said trailing. If Giannis is trailing behind Dame and Dame pitches the ball back to Giannis, Giannis is going to catch the ball and get a dunk or a layup every single time.
Away from Giannis. That's what you want to do. You want to keep the ball away from Giannis.
You have to pick up Giannis in transition, or it's a bucket.
You got to guard him at a 3-point line. That's what I'm saying. But
we've had that talk so many times, and every time we bring that up, it's like, oh, that's not true. That's 100% true. Somebody's 6'9", 250. You can't decide to stop them in the paint. You have to stop them at the 3-point line before they get some momentum behind it. It's just basketball.
But Ox, if you were guarding Giannis in this situation, wouldn't you back up 6-7 feet so you actually have a chance?
Hell no.
You wouldn't.
He's too big. It's like this. If you got a little side to side to your game, I can't stay that far away from you, because if I get on your hip, there's no recovery from that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I gotta get on you early so that you can't make a move. Like if you rip through and go, I can still move my feet to send you that way or turn you back. If I'm off you and you already get two steps ahead of you, we've seen Giannis sidestep you at the free throw line, take one step and boom, bang it. That's what he'll do it's not just Giannis. There's a lot of guys like that you have to stop them early before they even put the ball on the ground. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you right now, if you press up on Giannis at the 3-point line, he's going right past you one step.
But that's the point, though. We're trying to slow him down.
I mean, if you say so, like that's, I think I got much better action.
Two things can be true, though, Ox. And I'm sorry, Miles. I know you got a point. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you can finish it, because I'm going to bring it back to the play finishing thing. So if you want to get back to this point, then I'll go.
Because all I'm saying, to Ron's point, when you're talking about guarding at the 3-point line, so two things can be true. I'm not closing out hard as hell on Giannis because I'm not worried about him shooting threes. However, I am going to try to slow him down at the long ball line if he's 30 feet away from the basket, because if he gets ahead of steam, once he puts the ball on the floor, I can't slow him down with a hand check. I can't slow him down trying to body him. He's going to truck me. He's going to run right through me. So I don't want to do that. So two things can be true in this instance.
But you're not. So to pin your point, I'm not saying I'm putting my forehead in his chest. I'm saying my fingertips is touching his waistline.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I'm putting my fingertips on his waistline. That way, when he takes that big step, I can move my feet here, beat him here. He goes that way, I can move my feet. But I can't, obviously, like to your point, Pin, no, hell no, I can't put my body on him from that far, because he's too big, he's too strong, he's too fast. But I'm not giving him 6 feet, no way. I'm just at his mercy. I'm getting cooked that way. That's why I was saying that's what I was saying the other day when we was watching the game. Like if Giannis, you got the ball already right here. If they're not picking you up, why are you walking the ball up the court? I think sometimes Giannis settles to get into half-court offense when he's so dangerous in transition, secondary transition, whatever you want to call it. He's so dangerous in that part of the game that it doesn't make sense for the Bucks to settle for half-court offense when you have Giannis out to the Cooper with the ball in his hands already, because you can't stop that. Alex Caruso, there's nothing he can do. You know what I'm saying? He can try to guess which way he's going and try to take a charge. That's all he can do. You know what I'm saying? Lu Dort, there's nothing you can do when you start trying to run with Giannis in the open court. Half court offense, I don't think Giannis has the ball handling ability to break down Lu Dort when he's that close on him in like right outside the 3-point line. So that's just where my head is at.
I think we're arguing different points. I think I understand what you're saying, that you can't just go aggressive drop against him like you do against Ben Simmons.
Because you're cooked. Thanks, Esau. My bad, Pam.
I hear what you're saying. Like you cannot just drop coverage him like you do with Draymond or Ben Simmons, because he is so much more athletic and dynamic as a finisher, and he can take 1-2 dribbles and then you're not going to be able to stop him. I understand that, but I'm looking at his plays. I'm looking at his 3-point shots from the last few years, and I'm looking at how defenses are guarding him, especially good defenses like Boston. And I'm seeing 6 feet, 5 feet a gap, and they're not really playing him for the shot, and they're willing to live with it. So if he starts going into his shooting motion, they're almost walking away from him a little bit, or they're contesting late. It's certainly not how you see Jokic being guarded. It's certainly not how you see KD being guarded. It's not how you see Steph being guarded. Literally, he is being played away from the shot. So he's being played for the drive. Anywhere he is, he's being played for the drive. Now, this midi pull-up that he's got now, this might change the equation a little bit in the mid-range, where you got to contest it a little bit more because it's going in. But for most of his life,
you're still settling with him shooting that mid range because he's the most efficient finisher in NBA history. So you're still playing him. You're still playing him on that mid range. Pin, I get what you're saying in terms of teams playing off him and whatnot. The thing about it is why I'm saying that you do have to pick him up at the 3-point line on the fast break is because we argued this. That him, and I wasn't here on this episode, but Jordan had the argument whether it's LeBron or Giannis, who's the most dangerous player in transition.
Oh, I was there.
Yeah, and so it's like, and whether that's not the argument I'm making. I don't care if you say it's LeBron. I don't care if you say it's Giannis. My thing is, if you don't pick him up, whether he has the ball or doesn't have the ball, he's gonna finish the play. But
Mars, you had a point.
Yeah,
thank you. Back to the play finisher thing. I think it's right that if you're just a play finisher, like you're less valuable than an offensive superstar. Like Clint Capella is obviously not Kobe Bryant, because when your offense is solely reliant on someone else creating for you, that's not very valuable. But the reason I don't think that applies to this conversation is because Giannis is the advantage creator and is also a play finisher. I think he can do both. So he can create advantages for himself, but then he can also play off the ball and catch lobs, cut, do all of those things, do the role player things. And I think that's what makes him so valuable. I think you alluded to it with Scotty Barnes, and I'm going to try to speak your language, which is Toronto Raptors. Scotty Barnes was what made him so interesting as an offensive player. I mean, this year he added the advantage creation and initiation stuff. But in previous years, what made him so valuable and so, I guess, hard to stop was that he just did everything. He was getting putbacks, he was rolling, he was setting screens, he was running pick and rolls. Like when you can do everything, when you're versatile enough to be able to be a play creator and play finisher, that's an extra layer of offense. When Giannis is able to run a pick and roll as the ball handler, but then also be the screener and allow Dame to come off a screen and then he can roll and get to the rim. Or he can play in the dunker spot where Dame and Brook Lopez run a pick and roll, and then you got Giannis in the dunker spot getting lobs. That's 3 levels in which Giannis is now able to affect the game, whether he's creating the play, whether he's setting Dame up, or whether he's playing off Dame's own gravity in a pick and roll. He's setting up plays in 3 different ways, all to score. Jokic I think we would all agree, if Jokic could catch lobs, he'd be more dangerous. If Jokic could be a play finisher in that regard, he'd be more dangerous. Does that mean he's now trash because he can't do it? No, but I think it adds an extra layer to your game. The same way being able to be an advantage creator would add a level to a role player's game. Now, it's not like being a play finisher and then adding advantage creation. That's the gap to becoming from a role player to a star. But if you're already a star and you're able to add that play finishing, that's what makes you able to fit next to other people. Because when you want to win, you got to play with other great players. You got to be able to, you can't just carry a team 1-on-5 and be the sole advantage creation. So if you can play next to other people and be that play finisher for them, now that adds to your portability, is the buzzword that people like to use for these stars who can play next to other people. Kevin Garnett is an example. Steph Curry, someone who can play off of other people because of his off-ball movement. Kobe Bryant was like that. He's an advantage creator, but he also played off the ball. His ability to play off the catch and attack closeouts really quick and get to 1 dribble pull-ups, all of those things. If you're able to do both of them, that's what makes you the most dangerous. So I don't understand that point being used to refute Giannis. And then to the guarding Giannis at the 3-point line thing, yes, you have to guard him, not because he can shoot, but because of the momentum thing. The example I go to is last season, the Clippers defended Zion in transition and in the half court, the way you've alluded to how teams defend Giannis. And both times he destroyed them. One game, it was he destroyed them scoring because they had Mason Plumlee on him, just gapped him completely because he's a non-threat to shoot. And all Zion did was just use that space to get downhill head of steam, and he's finishing. I think he had like 38 or something. And then the next game, or the game before, they played twice that year, if I remember correctly. The next game, it was the same principle, but then every time Zion got downhill, they collapsed the defense in the paint, and Zion got like 12 assists. Like, it was his highest assist game of the season. Like, you can't defend a downhill threat like that, because all you've done is just give them a free head of steam to get to where they want on the court. It's like you face guard Steph Curry because you know how dangerous he is to shoot, but in the same breath, you're also opening up the backdoor cut. So Steph gets a lot of layups because you're scared of his 3. The same thing with like Giannis and Zion and them. You know they want to get to the rim, so you play off of them. But because you're playing off of them, you're making it easier for them to get to the rim. So you can't just leave them wide open. And also, teams concede Jokic 3-pointers too. Unless Jokic makes 2 or 3, they start off conceding. That's just how teams have guarded Jokic historically. It worked last year.
They'll live with that, sure.
Start making them. Yes. But even 2023, 2022, 2021, You start with when Jokic pops to the 3-point line off a pick and roll, they close out late. And then he makes 1 or 2, and then you start closing out. That's when you get the Jokic pump fakes and drives. But teams start with, we'll concede the Jokic 3. That's the one thing you concede. So the idea that teams are guarding Jokic like, oh, no, we got to run him off the line. No, he's not Kevin Durant. He's not in that realm of, he's not near that. Teams are conceding Jokic 3s as well. So I just don't agree with that overall premise. But I still think Jokic is the better scorer. I think the efficiency is a large gap. I think
that's what we was arguing.
Is a big deal. And I think the thing that I value with Jokic is just that floater range, that in the paint, that he can get there whenever he wants, and it's pretty much automatic. The hook shots, the floaters, all of those things. It's something the defense can't take away, and he practically never misses them. If you have that level of something in your arsenal that defenses can't take away, I think that's what makes you to that level of scorer. You think KD mid-range jumpers, MJ mid-range jumpers, Kobe mid-range jumpers, this Jokic floater, this Shaq in the post. Dunks. Yeah, but I think Giannis dunks are easier to scheme against. You can't stop them, but there's a reason Giannis's efficiency drops as heavily as it does in the postseason. Jokic is like +7, +8 efficiency. Giannis is
a lot more difficult dealing with a guy.
Like it's a lot easier to scheme for what Giannis does because of how you're able to collapse the defense. And now that opens up his playmaking and stuff, which is why there's a whole conversation about offensive player. But when you're talking about just scoring, Giannis, if you want to take away Giannis's scoring, I think it's easier than taking away Jokic's scoring. But it will require, once again, the whole team. And that's why Giannis is so impactful. And this is why they're both all-time great players. But I just do think Jokic is probably the better scorer because it's harder to take away that painted area, that floater range. Just because it's usually less efficient. But Jokic is like 65% from there. So it's just...
I think like the best scorer in the world is Kevin Durant. Like that's my definition of a great scorer. Like over the last 15 years, Kawhi Leonard, Kobe Bryant, like that to me... It's because they can do it from everywhere. There aren't weak spots on the court. I really value that. Okay, now it's interesting you said speaking Raptors lingo because Scotty Barnes has literally been compared to both Jokic and Giannis. He's been compared to Jokic by his head coach. He's been compared to Giannis by a lot of people as a young Giannis, smaller Giannis, etc. What I appreciate about Scotty is that his game is diversifying everywhere. Now, I'm not saying he's as good as those guys at all. Trust me, I'm not. I understand the gap. And the gap is probably like 8% in efficiency. But when you look at the overall floor game, I'm looking at well-rounded scorers. When I look at Giannis' shot chart, it's like a V right to the basket. Everything is above the break and right to the basket. This is
the argument I hate.
Well, no, it's not. Okay. When we talk about playing off of other stars, well, stars like to occupy the center of the court. LeBron wants to occupy the center of the court. Okay, so when you're playing with LeBron, guess what? You're gonna be in the corner a lot. You're gonna have to. You're going to be you want to be in the paint like you're Chris Bosh, but you're going to have to fan out to above the break. You're going to be have to do that. And sometimes when you can't, then everyone has to adjust to you. And that's where I think the portability argument holds some weight. Whereas I think Jokic could play with literally any star in the world ever and fit in seamlessly. He can be a play finisher, play. He can be above the break guy. He can be a post guy. He could do everything. And it's people talk about portability like we're talking about mad science, but the reality is your teammates change, your lineups change, and you might be required to do different things based on how your teammates are playing and who you're playing with. So based on that,
what does this have to do with scoring, Pin?
It has to do with different ways and different places from which you can score. Okay.
And Giannis has played with a gang of teammates and has been an elite scorer with a gang of teammates.
Been a similar type of scorer all the way through, even though he's gotten better at.
That's who he is.
Well, that's my point, Ron. It's who he is. So when you talk about Steph Curry accommodating his game to be able to play with a Kevin Durant, when you talk about a Kevin Durant being able to accommodate his game to play with a Russell
Westbrook, those are the two easiest players to play with. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant.
Steph still did what he does. It's just what Steph does is just easy to fit with. But Steph is still an off-ball player who was a primary three-point shooter.
I understand that. I was talking about Steph and KD are the easiest players to play with, but I understand that. But also, too, why does that matter, anyways? You're not building the team. You're building a team to score for Giannis. You're building a team that Giannis can score on. You're not going to put a bunch of non-shooters around Giannis.
You build around Giannis. You don't build
exactly. So it doesn't matter either way it goes. If Giannis, you can trade Giannis to any team in the league. I don't care what team you want to. Hey, pull a name out of hat. Pull a team out of hat that team is going to put pieces around Giannis for Giannis to be successful, not vice versa. So it doesn't matter
to build a team around Steph than it is to buld a team around Russell
okay,
Westbrook.
I get that, but that doesn't make Steph a better scorer than the next person. It's easier to build a team around Steph than it is Shaq, but
I get your point.
Use whatever names you want. I'm just saying it might just because it's easier to build a team around this player doesn't mean this player's a better scorer, because at the end of the day, once it's all said and done, once I put the necessary pieces around these players, both of their scoring is fully unlocked. In the person that's better in that scenario is the better scorer.
Quick thing, something that helped Giannis's portability. I feel like last season when he was screening for Damian Lillard, he was looking to get the ball a lot more than he really should. Well, I wouldn't say he really should, but I feel like that was the main priority of him screening for him. Yeah, so now I think over the past few games that has helped out a lot, which has gotten Dame a lot better looks and why the efficiency has shot up a lot more for Dame. I think that's something he's really worked on, and I think Giannis's portability is fine. I mean, there's always going to be shooters around Giannis because of the attention and gravity he gets around the rim and the playmaking that he has also gotten better at as well. So building a team around Giannis is kind of simple. You know, have some efficient shooters, some guys that can play and fight through screens defensively. It's not hard to build a team around Giannis. The portability is fine. You know, he's going to be a good screener, especially when he's trying to set up the player he's screening for to get an open shot. He's always going to be a great roller. He's going to be a good decision maker, especially now. And now you add on top of that he's hitting mid-range shots. The portability around Giannis is pretty easy.
I also think it doesn't really matter for who's the better scorer. If you're talking about who's the better player, like, yeah, maybe portability. But if you're talking about who's the better scorer, it's just like, how well can you put the ball in the basket?
Yeah.
And I think Jokic does. I think Jokic does.
I think Jokic does it better. I think Jokic is the best scorer in the league.
And that's just the primary efficiency thing. For me personally, I just think
so. Giannis isn't more efficient than Jokic.
I'm not getting into a true shooting conversation again.
I'm not talking. Here's my thing. Here's my thing. If I can do
scoring, Ron, at
scoring, yes.
He's more.
You guys just don't like the way it gets done.
No,
Giannis gets the job done.
I'm telling you factually.
The thing though,
Jokic's more efficient.
No,
in what ways? Like he shoots the three better, he shoots the mid range better.
Overall scoring efficiency, Ron, not just at the rim like Giannis is better. Overall,
so is that factoring in free throws?
Is that factoring in true shooting conversation? Because that's what I'm going to end up.
Is that factoring in free throws? Because I don't count free throws as I'm not counting free throws into that. I'm not talking about true shooting. I'm not talking about true shooting. I'm not talking about free throws. I'm just talking about getting buckets.
Then you're not talking about scoring. But free throws are points.
Oh, I mean, if you're is that superstar buckets? Because that's
don't
SGA.
I don't care about superstar buckets.
Okay, and I don't either. I didn't bring up superstar buckets. I brought it. I didn't bring that to the table.
Yeah,
I did not bring that to the table. First off, I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying you're counting. I'm not counting superstar buckets, or I'm not counting free throws.
And I'm saying I'm counting all points. So we're having a different conversation. Hence why I said I don't want to have a true shooting talk.
We don't have to have a true shooting talk.
And I'm saying all points count to my. When I think about who's a better scorer, I factor in all points, whether that's layups, mid-range, three, post-ups, free throws, anything that puts points on the board are factoring into me as a scorer. So when I say someone is a more efficient scorer, it's with all of those things factored in and accounted for how much they are worth. Jokic is more efficient than Giannis. If you want to say take free throws off the table because you don't count them for whatever reason,
I'm not saying I don't count free throws, but I'm talking about if we're out here talking about getting buckets, right?
Ron, real quick. Ron, so I'm going to Joker. I'm going to Joker for buckets. I got Joker over here. I'm going to Giannis for buckets. Who is going to get me buckets more efficiently?
I'm counting on Giannis. I'm counting on. Once again, you guys just don't like the way it gets done.
It's not that, Ron.
I just think free throws are points. So
okay, and I do get that. I do get that, and that is part of scoring.
What I don't want you to do, Ron, is I don't want you to discount how I feel about the efficiency of getting buckets. Jabbar had the skyhook. Jabbar didn't have 1,000 moves on the box. Stop this, and you stop me. So I do care about the fact that if you only are good at this, that doesn't negate you from being a better scorer. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying, however, is who am I looking for to get me buckets more in an efficient way? If we're talking about efficiency, since you brought that up, who is going to get me buckets more in an efficient way? I got Giannis over here, who is a put his head down, downhill guy getting to the rim, or Joker, who not only can knock down mid-ranges and open up the lane so he can get downhill, but he can also crack the long ball, which opens up the lane even more.
If you don't factor in free throws, Jokic is still more efficient.
Just something that I look at when I try to deem who is the better scorer is how I think Mars alluded to it when he said, how easy is it to scheme against in the playoffs? I think Jokic's game is a lot harder to scheme against because he does have that area of the floor where he's extremely efficient and he can go to it, play in and play out, to where Giannis, it may be a little bit more efficient or a little bit better to scheme against. Also, I think when we look at Giannis's game, especially everybody on the screen, I would like to believe that we all watch basketball differently than the casual fan. We all value what Giannis does offensively. All of that stuff gets valued. I promise you.
We value what Giannis does.
We
said I'm including the chat. No, we don't. I'm including Swiper. I'm including the chat. I'm including everybody that's ever been on this platform. Everybody. No, we don't.
What about us up here? The people we're actually talking to.
You guys might, to a certain extent. I don't think you value it enough, but y'all value it a little bit.
No, I just think you aren't talking about efficiency, but.
We might be talking about different efficiency. I'm just talking about scoring the ball. I'm looking at the percentages. I'm looking at your just overall field goal percentage.
Yeah, overall field goal percentage. That's what I just said. So not efficiency.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just talking about your overall field goal percentage. Yeah, so Giannis shoots better percentages.
Not talking about efficiency.
I'm not talking about efficiency. I'm talking about your percentage that you shoot from the field.
That's why I said we're having a different conversation. So what's the point?
What do you mean?
Is
it efficiency or is it field goal percentage? Because Mars is saying it's not efficiency and you're saying it's not efficiency. What is it?
It's not.
Okay. So I'm talking about
different shots are worth different amount of points.
Field goal percentages.
I understand that.
Then you get to the point where you start saying like someone is more efficient than Steph because Steph shoots more threes. Like Giannis has a higher field goal percentage. Giannis also shoots 60% of his shots right at the basket.
Am I supposed to knock him?
No,
am I supposed to knock him?
If you let me finish.
Go ahead.
Those shots are worth 2 points.
Two.
So if Giannis is shooting 75% at the rim, which I think is around, that means he's generating 1.5 points, right? Mathematically, 1.5 points per shot, which is great. And then you move it back and you see he's shooting like 25% of his shots from mid-range. He's shooting like 46%, which is like 0.92 points per shot. If someone removes those mid-range jumpers and shoots a bunch of threes at 40%, they're now generating 1.2 points per shot. And they also get to the rim and finish at 70%, they're now generating 1.4 points per shot. The efficiency has to value what each shot is worth, because that's how you know how much value you're getting from each shot. So Giannis overall might be more accurate because he takes the shots at the basket. But when you factor in free throws being worth as much as they're worth, 2 points, you shoot 80% from the line, that's 1.6 points per shot. 1.6 points per trip to the free throw line. Then you factor in threes being worth what they're worth, 50% more than a 2, and you're shooting 40% from 3, that's now 1.2 points per shot. That's different than shooting 60% at the rim. So 60% and 40%. From 60% from 2 and 40% from 3 are the same thing in terms of efficiency, but one has a 60% field goal percentage, one has a 40% field goal percentage. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
So that's why field goal percentage is not efficiency. It's accuracy. But when I say I'm valuing efficiency when I'm talking about Jokic's scoring, and then you start trying to have a conversation with me about field goal percentage,
but that's having the same conversation. And we acknowledged that 15 minutes ago. I'm valuing field goal percentage. You're valuing efficiency. It's
okay. So hold on, Ron.
So then why did you talk to me when I said I'm valuing efficiency and you start bringing up Giannis field goal percentage?
Is Rudy Gobert a better player than Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Is who?
Is Rudy Gobert a better offensive player than Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Let's not do this. Let's
do this.
That's a terrible argument.
No, it's not.
That's a terrible argument.
I don't know though. Let's do the checklist. Maybe he is.
65.4% field goal percentage for Rudy Gobert across his career. Shaquille O'Neal is 58%. That's 7% gap. Yet Shaq is telling me that Rudy Gobert don't do what big man's supposed to do.
Now what's the volume that they're shooting at? Now let's talk about field goals and volumes, because that's where things start to really pan out.
Yeah, I think that was a bad example.
Because Giannis is shooting 20 plus shots.
One's taking 8 shots and one's taking 19. I don't think that's a good example at all. But I think when you're comparing guys of similar volume, I do think if you want to use field goal percentage, that's fine. But I just feel like A, we're not talking about efficiency, and B, it neglects the context of what shots are worth, which I think is inherently valuable. So would you say?
Yo, but Morris, because this the problem when y'all was doing it. This the problem I have with that, bro. This is the only problem I have with that, right? If I shoot 7 for 9 layups, right, and then
can you make it 7 for 10, so it's a nice round number, please.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Let's say 8 for 10. Let's say 8 for 10. 80%. Let's say it's 8 for 10 at the layups, right? And then I go 1 for 4 from the 3-point line. That's an efficient night, bro. Right.
9 for 14, yeah, but 9 for 14, like field goal percentage is fine. But then that player took 14 shots, right?
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
They scored 19 points.
Yep.
So they scored 19 points in 14 possessions.
Right.
And they were 9 for 14. If you then look at a different player who takes 12 threes and no layups, and they go 7 for 12, their field goal percentage, I think, is lower. I think.
Of course.
Okay.
But you don't want to talk about.
Hold on, Ben.
They scored 21 points on 12 possessions. Now let me use 14. That makes it easier. So let's say they shoot 14 threes instead of 14 overall shot. Well, 14 field goal attempts, 9 for 14, 19 points. You then got a guy who shoots 14 shots, all threes, and they make
7. Same thing, 7.
They make 7 of them. Okay. They scored 21 points on 14 possessions. So even though they have now gone 50% from the field, overall they've been more efficient because they've scored more points on the same amount of possessions.
Where I'm getting thrown up. It does make sense. But here's the question that I'm having though. This is where I'm thrown off, Ron, and this is where I'm thrown off, Mars. Because sure, he is more efficient, but I'm taking a more difficult shot. And because I'm taking a more difficult shot, does that make me more efficient when I'm taking a shot closer to the basket and I'm generating more? Like Mars, you didn't factor in of those shots that Ox just talked about. I went 8 for 10 on layups. How about 2 of those layups? I got N1s, which turned into 3-point plays. And in the process,
if you start factoring in free throws, then the formula changes a little bit.
Okay, because that's that's
what if you make both free throws, you've now got 21 points on 14 possessions. It's the same thing.
But then also too, if you shoot 14 threes, you know the era we play in, you might get fouled on 2 or 3 of those threes too. So
yeah, but I think the thing to acknowledge here is if the player A 7 for 14, then you got 9 for 14, 21 points versus 19 points. That's the basic way of saying this guy, same amount of possessions used, but I scored 2 more points. I'm more productive. Where it doesn't include is the guy who misses less shots, you're now defending in transition less. Because we're not playing off a rebound, we're now playing we got a set defense, which means our defense might be better, or we don't have to worry about teams running out on us or a long rebound off a 3. Or all of those things are relevant. But when we talk strictly just scoring and efficiency, how much you are producing and how little amount of possessions it takes to produce it is all that matters. So if a player takes 6 possessions to produce 18 points because they go 6 for 6 from 3, that's 18 points. The same player a different player goes 6 for 6 on all layups. They've got 12 points. It's taken them both 6 possessions. One scored 6 more points. That's just inherently more efficient. I'm just producing more. That's really all.
What I was saying with that, I wasn't comparing that to anybody else. Now, when you added the other player in and you go comparisons like that, that's fine. Like I see where you're coming from. That's cool. All I was saying is, regardless of how many threes somebody shot, how many layups, if I'm that consistent from that close, it's an efficient night. Now, if you compare somebody else, like what you said, if you go, what you say, 7 for 14 or whatever, I love 7 for 14 any day. Like that's great. So in comparison, that might be more efficient, but I'm so happy with somebody on my team going 8-4. What was it? 8-4.
There's never going to be anything wrong with going 9 for 14.
I'm glad Ox mentioned his team, because there's a player on his team on the Sacramento Kings that is currently shooting 70% true shooting, and that's Domantas Sabonis. Yeah. Domantas Sabonis is not necessarily a high volume superstar, but he's an all-star level player. So we're not talking about Rudy Gobert with just everything catch and dunk. So there's some dynamicism to Domantas's game.
He's really a superstar level player, Payne. He really is. But
I think he's a star level player. I think he's definitely an all NBA conversation. So we are at least talking about a top 20 player in the league. Can we agree on that? Domantas Sabonis has been amazing this year, right? Domantas shoots 43% from three. He shoots 83% from the line, and he shoots 60. Let's see, on his career. No. This year, Domantas Sabonis shoots 67% from two. 67 goddamn percent from two. And Giannis, who's having a great year, is 63%. Is Domantas Sabonis a more effective scorer than Giannis?
Once again, no, he's not. This is the second time you made that argument, and I'm gonna correct you once again.
He's more efficient than Giannis.
You said field goal percentage is everything. He shoots a higher field goal percentage.
You just made that argument with Shaq and Rudy, and I'm gonna correct you again. What is the volume? Giannis shoots 20 shots at 60, 62, 63. Domantas shoots 13.
Cool.
It's completely different. Completely different.
So if Domantas shot 20,
then
efficiency would dip off the face of the earth.
No, he wouldn't be.
Well,
once you start having two players who take a lot of shots,
offense, it's more than reasonable that your efficiency drops off.
Of course, 62%
of Sabonis' twos are assisted, and all of his threes have been assisted. 42% of Giannis' twos are assisted. So Giannis is having to self-generate more offense than Domantas is. But I also think it's objectively 42%. True that Sabonis has been a more efficient scorer than Giannis this year. But I don't think more efficient means better. I do think it's a part of the formula for how someone's a better scorer. I don't think it by itself. I don't think more efficient. If you're more efficient, you're a better scorer. No. But I do think if someone is substantially more efficient, they do put up really high scoring volume, and it's shown that it's able to A, translate to the playoffs, and B, it's a very malleable form of scoring where it's not just this one-dimensional form that could be schemed against this certain matchup. Like, I do think you get to a point where it's like, yeah, this guy's probably the better scorer. And I think that's where I'm at with Jokic. I think Jokic is more matchup proof. I think Jokic's volume is upgrades in the playoffs, where it's still really high in the regular season. I think he's more efficient in both the regular season and the playoffs. And then he's got the malleability that I don't think Giannis has as a scorer. I just think he checks all of the boxes. But if you only check the efficiency box, then I don't think that's enough. Same way if you only check the volume box, I don't think that's enough. Like, I'll go to Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson led the league in scoring 4 times. Kobe led the league in scoring 2 times. I wouldn't say Allen Iverson was a better scorer than Kobe, even though he was a fantastic scorer in his own right. But I wouldn't say he's a better scorer than Kobe. So, you have to check a lot of the boxes for me in order to be seen as a better scorer. But the reason to go back to Ox when I started making the comparison is because I'm not saying Giannis is inefficient. I don't think anyone could even make the argument Giannis is inefficient. But comparatively to Jokic, and because we're having a scoring Giannis versus Jokic conversation, that's why I had to make the comparison with the threes thing. Jokic is more efficient just because he gets more value on his shot attempts, his scoring attempts, than Giannis does. Large part of it is because of free throws. It's not even because of the three generally. It's because of the free throws. Giannis is just such an inefficient free throw shooter. And in today's modern game, it just hurts him quite a lot. But even if you take out the free throws and you just look at effective field goal percentage, that now just weighs 2s and 3s in terms of what they're worth. Jokic is still the more efficient scorer. And that's because Giannis is such a bad three-point shooter.
I think this is Giannis' 3rd time. Since I remember him being in the league, I think this is 3rd or 4th time changing his free throw routine.
He's trying to figure it out. I just don't think he's got it. But Giannis is less efficient than Jokic. I think that's just true. But then there's also a very substantial volume gap, especially regular season. Giannis is averaging 30 for the 3rd straight year. This is Jokic's first year averaging 30 in the regular season.
That's why
that's why I think it's still a conversation, because of the volume, especially in the regular season, is a real thing. But then I just think Jokic ups his volume in the postseason so consistently. I think he's averaged 30 in the postseason 3 times. He's still the more efficient postseason scorer by a wide margin. And then once again, back to the game plan and stuff. So I got Jokic, but I do think it's a fair conversation to have. But I would still pick Jokic all the time, most of the time.
Yeah, my thing is output matters. So who's scoring more? It matters, and also production. Production. But then also too, and Giannis tends to do better than Jokic in the production, department. But also, too, I'm like, I understand that we have to weigh the free throw.
Giannis produces more. Whoa, Ron. Giannis produces more than Joker?
So, yes.
As a bucket getter?
Yes. Mars just so
in the regular season
and in the postseason. Mars, you just so eloquent.
In the postseason, it's a bit more of a conversation. But yeah.
Mars, you just so eloquently said Jokic scored 30 twice in the playoffs. Giannis has done that too. Giannis has led the postseason in scoring with 31.7. Giannis has done that too. The finals run, throughout that whole finals run, he averaged 30 and he led the postseason in rebounds. Jokic just led the postseason in rebounds too. But I know that I'm just saying because I was looking at that year. I was just throwing that in there. But Jokic has led the postseason in rebounds too. But I'm saying the postseason output is merely the same, and we're just talking about production. It's
in terms of pure points per game, in terms
of pure points per game, and that's not the end all be all. Mm-hmm. But Giannis is going to score efficiently or with the high field goal percent, and so is Jokic. But my thing is though, it's like, and this just goes back to me being more traditional, more old school. I just value a guy being able to get an easy bucket, which Jokic does too. I'm not going to say Jokic doesn't. Jokic gets plenty of easy buckets, but I just value a guy getting to his bread and butter time after time after time after time, as opposed to a guy scoring in multifaceted ways. For instance, and I'm gonna give you Penn. Now I'm gonna give you a little scenario because a lot of guys have ran around here and said that this is their GOAT, this is their favorite player, this guy is the cream of the crop offensively. Let's go to Paul George. If you were just looking at him, you didn't know the scoring output. You're just looking at him score. You're just watching highlights and film. People that say Paul George is a better scorer than Giannis, and you will be out of your goddamn mind to really believe that. To really believe that. I think Paul George, when you look at production, Paul George has 1 year where he scored over 25 points, and that was that MVP year. Don't get me started with that, because if I give Russell Westbrook credit, all of a sudden, why are you doing that? But nonetheless, he scored 28 one time in 2019. He does everything else better than Giannis other than finish and post up, I guess you could say. Other than that, it's the same argument. Better bag, better handles, better mid-range, better three-point shot, better everything. But he's just not a better scorer than Giannis. And part of that is due to versatility, but part of it is also due to if I got one thing that works 80% of the time, I don't care if you got something else. I don't care if you got 10 things that work 40% of the time. I want to go with that one thing that I know is going to get the job done. And that's what I'm getting with Giannis. I know he has one thing that's going to hammer home every single time. So if I can knock you out with one punch, it doesn't matter if I have 10 other ways. It doesn't matter if I can kick you. It doesn't matter if I can karate chop you. It doesn't matter whatever else it is.
Giannis is basically Shaq. In a nutshell, he's basically Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
That's fine. And Shaq,
but I also think Ron is slightly overstating the unstoppability of that Giannis singular skill, especially in the postseason.
I just think it's interesting that Mars brought up like an all-time great season with Giannis. I'm sorry, with Joker this season, considering how awesome Giannis was last year before he got hurt going into the playoffs. He was fantastic, and now we're looking at a better.
Last couple years are the best he's ever been. Like. Before I was thinking his peak was like 2020 to like 2022. I think now I'm getting to the point where this season and last season are probably the best Giannis has ever been. Probably.
He just turned 30 this season. Today is the 8th.
Thinking his name was on Darrell quickly.
Yeah, he just turned 30 like a week ago. Yeah, that's because he's still a fantastic athlete. So
shout out to Giannis, man. He really good.
Yep.
Underrated, in my opinion.
With these two guys, because we've talked about them for the whole episode, we're going to talk about them for a couple more minutes. Is it anything, not nitpicking or anything like that you just want to compliment these guys about that they're able to do and that we're just seeing from them right now?
I just like how Giannis plays with force. I like the fact that he is just relentless attacking. I think there's a lot of offensive players that we wish were more assertive, would more put their imprint on the game. They're maybe a little bit timid, a little bit passive. That's not something you could ever accuse Giannis of being. Like, he is just always going to attack. He's always going to hunt mismatches. He's always going to attack early. We talk about early offense. Giannis is basically a one-man fast break in terms of early offense. We see what Memphis is doing this year. you know, with all of their early offense. I think early offense is efficient offense, and it, you know, often catches the defense off. And when you got this one-man freight train going down, you know, going down the center of the court, it's opening up seeds and pockets all over. We talk about Steph Curry's gravity as a shooter, right? And extendedly talked about gravity on this channel as basically being a sinking of the floor around that player. Giannis basically sinks the entire court from baseline to baseline in the middle. And that's because he is just energetically, relentlessly attacking the paint. And I think that that opens up all sorts of efficient offense for all of the players around him. So I am happy to see Giannis playing with another really great player in Damian Lillard, and I'm very curious to see what it'll look like in the playoffs.
I just love how Joker gets Joker gets what he needs to get within the flow of the game. He's not a ball stopper. He's not a guy who's inefficient. He's a guy who, if I'm going to get buckets, I'm going to get buckets within what we're doing. Guys playing off me, I'm going to get buckets. You want to throw me the ball on the block, I can go to work, but I'm going to get my buckets, and I'm going to get my game going, and it's going to be predicated on what you guys do. And when you guys, I'm going to get you guys going. Once I get you guys going, I'm virtually impossible to stop. I'm already impossible to stop anyway, but I'm going to get you guys going. And once I get you guys going, I'm almost impossible to stop. And I love that about him, because I feel like that's conducive to winning. A lot of guys you see who playing off of them, they're just bucket getters, and they don't really do anything for everybody else. Joker playing off of him enhances his game. That makes him even better. So when Jamal Murray gets going, when MPJ gets going, that gets Joker going even more. That makes Joker even more viable. That's why I think that he's the best player in the game.
I just want to glaze Jokic's touch. Pause. He has the best. Y'all be serious. Come on.
Glaze? No, you want to glaze Joker's touch around the rim?
No. Touch in general. Jokic has the best. He has the best touch in the NBA. And I'm not just talking about shooting. I'm talking about passing, dribbling, feel, all of that. I guess I'm combining feel and touch. Jokic is just different. It's like
focus, Mars.
No Diddy.
I'm sure y'all in the chat going crazy, but like in all seriousness, catch the ball in the mid post, and it just seems like it's just so easy for Jokic. It seems like he always makes the right play. Always. There
aren't many guys, Ron, that I can say throughout the course of history that I've watched that I feel like when they get the ball, something good's gonna happen. Joker, I feel like that more with Joker than I do with Giannis. That when he gets the ball, something good is gonna happen more times than not. When Giannis gets the ball, I don't think that something bad's gonna happen. I just feel like something good, just because of the way he plays off of everybody else, the confidence that they have playing with him, and they know that they're going to get open looks. They know that they're going to get good shots, and he's going to generate something good. I can't say that almost every time with Giannis as I can with Joker.
Jokic just makes it look so easy. And like, granted, we don't know how hard it is for him, but he makes it look like he's just out there walking.
That's what makes him great, though, because, you know, that's why they call professionals. But because they make it look so easy, it's ridiculously hard what he's doing, by the way. It's ridiculously hard. But he makes it look so easy that he almost makes it look like anybody can do it. My brother, for example, used to say to me, we used to watch Serena play tennis, and my brother be like, yo, I can do that. I'm like, my man, Serena would wipe the floor with you. You have no idea how good she is. The reason why it looks easy, because she's awesome. It just looks easy because she's doing it. That's why.
Bro, I used to play tennis, and I played my ex-girlfriend, she played competitively in Bulgaria on the national team, and I thought I could beat her, and I had been out of it for a few years. When she served the basketball, when she served the tennis ball, I was like, what ball? Where to go? I couldn't even react to it. I was like, oh my god, the gap between professionals.
Wipe the floor with you, yo.
Yeah, man.
Mars, Ox, do y'all have any praise or glaze that you would like to give any of these two guys, or both of them?
Oh, am I going first? Oh, okay. I think we spoke about their games, and what I think is like the most impressive thing to me is, despite the fact that I think they're both the two clear-cut best players in the world, the desire to keep getting better and keep improving. Every year, it seems like they keep getting better and better. Going back and watching rookie Jokic, second-year Jokic, And then watching him now, it's like, this is a completely different player. Going back and watching 2020 Jokic and seeing him now, you could just see he's adding more and more to his game. He was playing further away from the rim back then, relying more on jump shots. Now he's got stronger. He's able to will his way to spots on the floor where he's more dangerous. He's developed way more passing angles. He releases the ball quicker. With Giannis, as you can see, the post game is developed. You can see the mid-range jumper is obviously developed. The playmaking feel has developed. Just consistently trying to get better, despite the fact that they're still ahead of the league, but they still keep trying to widen that gap, is what I think is a testament to their greatness, because they could very easily settle and stay at the level they were in 2022 and still probably be the best players in the world. But they both tried and they've succeeded in getting better. And let's not even addressing weaknesses, just maybe for Giannis addressing weaknesses. For Jokic, just making his strengths even stronger. And it's like, that's a testament to work ethic. And I know everyone understands Giannis, his love for the game and his desire, but Jokic, I think the running joke is he doesn't care, blah, blah, blah. You can't improve it the way he improves and act like this guy doesn't care. They both very clearly care about being as good as they can be. And I think that's a testament to their greatness. And I think they're rightfully seen as all-time great players. I don't think I can name 15 players who were better than them in the history of the game. And I think that's a testament to their greatness. So, yeah.
I just want
to let you guys know that this show is brought to you by PrizePicks, where you can run your game, control your game, and win your game. All you got to use is the promo code PANO, and you can get $50 instantly in promo funds when you play just $5. Big Ox?
Yeah.
Also, make sure you download the app right now and make your prized picks for the day. I'm telling you, it's a nice slate of games going on tonight, and you can win some big bucks. So go ahead and make that happen. As you were saying, Big Ox.
Ox, I wonder why. I'll be wondering sometimes why you want to choke him out, and then it does make sense a lot of times when
because I'm pushing our sponsors.
I do hear it. I get it though.
I'm trying to help y'all get money.
I wouldn't even try. I'm not gonna lie. He ruined the whole moment.
We got to pay the bills, man. I still got this same $3, man. Go ahead with the PrizePicks, man. But what I was saying, yeah. I think it's just time that we just stop lying to ourselves and stop trying to do the right thing and stop acting like it's not obvious, and don't let the media convince you anymore. Don't let Swiper and Pin bully you. Giannis is so much clearly better than Jokic. You know what I mean? It's just really, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just so obvious when you watch the basketball games. Like Jokic and Giannis are like right here on offense. They're like neck and neck. On defense, it's nothing to talk about. The dude barely tries. He's quick hands that you guys talk about. They're non-existent. You know what I mean? And the Draymond Green assists are not moving me. He's not creating offense. It's just all in the flow. You think that lob past Aaron Gordon isn't already? That's a play. That's a play. You know what I mean? Like it's the willingness to pass, and I love that. I love his willingness to pass. That's a beautiful thing. But he's not creating this offense. It's not like he's passing guys open. These Draymond Green assists are not moving me. Okay. Shout out to Jokic. He's still a top 3 player in the NBA. But Giannis is better, bro. Giannis is just better. Shout out to Jokic.
All I have to say about Giannis, and as the old head up here, all I have to say about Giannis, he would have destroyed Derek Coleman. He would have eaten Larry Johnson's lunch. He would have destroyed Charles Oakley. Destroyed them dudes. Vin Baker would have no chance against Giannis. Giannis would have bust his ass. So I'm not one of these dudes.
I'll give Alonzo Mourning a chance.
I'm not one of, and since we're on the subject of Alonzo Mourning, Joker would have ate Alonzo Mourning lunch. I think he would have bust Alonzo Mourning ass. He would have gave Alonzo Mourning
would have shut that shit down.
No, he would not.
Alonzo Mourning get that weak shit up out of here.
No. Hell no.
Come on. Tim, like, and then we got to have conversations like Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. Like Prime, they point out when Tim Duncan played him. What was that? 2017. Like,
well, Duncan said it. I wasn't me when he saw me, and he wasn't him.
Yeah, but y'all know Tim.
And I still held my own.
Tim Duncan's a nice guy. He didn't want to tell the truth that if I would have caught up with this dude in 2004, 2003, 2007, any way up to damn near 2014, it wouldn't have been no conversation. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
Like, I'm so tired.
They're both better than Moses Malone.
I'm so tired of the hype. I'm so tired. I'm just not impressed. I'm just not impressed.
They're both better than Moses Malone. That's what that matters.
Anything else, Big Ox?
I'm not impressed, Ron. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
All right.
This was fun though. This was a fun 2.5 hours. It was fun.
It was great. It was amazing.
Yeah. You guys.
Hey, good job, Mars. Good job, Mars.
Me hating on Jokic apparently. Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate the love for.
And David Robinson would have shut that shit down too.
I think David Robinson would have bust Joker ass. I ain't gonna lie about that. No, you won't get me to go that far, Ox. No, I'm not doing that.
David Robinson better than Jokic.
I think he would have bust Joker ass.
Yes. I got him.
Yo, yes. I got a question though. So obviously the 2020s have obviously been Jokic's and Giannis's. They've clearly been the two best players. You got some other players. You got Luka, you got SGA, you got just maybe a little bit of LeBron. There's some other players that you could throw in there, but those two have clearly been the two best players throughout from 2020 to now, and I expect them to continue to do that for at least 2 to 3 more years. So this would kind of be their decade. So let's just say they continue to dominate throughout the decade or for 2 to 3 more years. Is there any other decades where you can take the two best players and that you would say Jokic and Giannis are better than? Now, obviously, we have to go through the decades and figure out who the two best players are. But is it any other decade that they would trump?
So Bron and KD, Steph. Bron and Steph.
You can go with either or. I'm not going to argue.
Bron and KD, Bron and Steph, whoever. I got Bron.
Bron and KD. So Mars, we want go back to the 60s. How about Chamberlain and Russell?
Relative to era is Wilton.
I think in the 70s,
put them both on the same court. I'm sorry, I got Jokic and Wilt.
I think in the 70s it's trickier because after Chamberlain, after Jabbar and
Dr. J. That's what
that's who I think Giannis is. I think he a bigger Doc. That's what I think he is.
So he better than Dr. J, but not better than Moses Malone. Interesting. Okay.
Doc better than Moses. But Moses is better than Doc.
Cat. But all right, cool. Well,
then in the 80s, are they better than Larry and Magic?
Yeah. Relative to that time, no. I think Magic and Bird are better. But if you just say put them both on a basketball court, who do I think is the better player? I think Jokic is better than Magic. I think Giannis is better than Magic as well. Bird, I don't know. But anyway.
It's crazy. I wondered, did you feel like that, Mars, a month ago with Giannis? Did you feel like that last season with Giannis that he was better?
He's got better.
I'm saying if you because I judge players relative to their time period. I'm not going to expect a player from the 80s to be as good as a player in the 2020s. But I'm saying if you just put them all on a basketball court, which is what we're practically doing at this point, I guess.
Sure.
Then I'm going to end up favoring
the league is smaller. The league is so much smaller today. You're talking about Alonzo Mourning and David Robinson. There ain't one player around the league that's healthy right now that resembles those two players. So it's one thing when you're doing this against Isaiah Hartenstein. No disrespect to Isaiah Hartenstein, Kenrich Williams, and Jalen Williams, and Domantas Sabonis and all these guys, but I'm sorry, like the elite rim protectors that were designed to shut down the one area of the court that Giannis is so efficient in are not in the league anymore.
I'd argue point guards are bigger now than they were in Magic's era. So
okay, fine. And I'm not sitting here trying to make a case for Magic. What I'm trying to say is that Jokic is a top 2 player in every single decade.
Well, I don't know if that's true, Mars. I mean, outside of Isaiah Thomas was small, Stockton was small. But
the average point guard was just smaller back then. I think
there was a period where average point guards were a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
then there was a period where they were much smaller.
Rolando Blackman, he was 6'5".
Well, now we got Cades and LaMelo and all these 6'7" point guards. Sure. And large part that's because of Magic and Penny and Bron. I understand that. And once again, relative to era, I got Magic and Birds because I think in their time they were more outliers and what they did was more dominating. But if you it's the same thing with Russell and Wilt. If you just put them all on, if you put Jokic, Giannis, Russell, and Wilt all on a basketball court, like respectfully, Bill Russell gonna look like he shouldn't be there. And and Bill Russell's my guy. He's one of my favorite. But
who's the second best player? Who's the second best player in the 90s after Jordan in your estimation?
Come on, Joe.
Yeah.
MJ and Hakeem. I got MJ and Hakeem. And then 2000, I got Shaq and Kobe. I got Shaq and Kobe. I got Bron and whoever. I got MJ and Hakeem. In terms of non-relative to era, I got Magic and Birds. And then 70s.
That's Kareem and
Big
O?
Kareem
and Dr. J?
Or Dr. J, yeah. Kareem and Doc.
Then we can start having a conversation. 70s.
The era's argument...
Best player all time?
The decades argument is
best
weird.
Small forward all time?
You could say Shaq's like major prime happened during the turn of a decade. So like 97 to 2003. That's Shaq, right? But 2008 Shaq is not anywhere close to 2006 D Wade, 2007 LeBron, 2001 Tracy McGrady, 2009 Kevin Durant. Like these are all better players.
But Shaq's first 5
2000 Shaq is in the
2000s is Shaq's era is way disingenuous in my
opinion. I'm saying the two best
Tim
players
Duncan
from that
was better
decade
through that era.
Whatever year of Kobe.
Hang on.
Shaq has a better 5-year run in the 2000s than any of those guys you just mentioned. Other than Kobe. From 2000 to 2005, the 4 rings that Shaq picked up?
It's the best player from that. If it could be six, it could just be the 6 months of 2000, Shaq in 2000. That's the best player that decade seen.
Mars, I get you on that, but also he has the resume to be in there too.
Tim Duncan was better through the 2000s than Shaq.
Okay, but 2000 Shaq was better than any Duncan. So
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
2000 Shaq was better than any Duncan. So,
but Mars,
Duncan was better for the whole decade.
Pen, don't argue that. 1999, 2000, Shaq was better than any version.
The free throws.
No, we're not doing that.
I agree with that. And Tim Duncan is one of my top 5 players of all time.
We're going to obviously take the best, but
but if you're talking a decade, it matters to me who you were in 2009, 2008, 2007,
when we say best players from the
2006.
decade and people say LeBron and Steph, they're obviously not saying 2012 Steph. Like, I thought that was... Some things I think should just be common sense. Like, I think we just knew what was going on. Like, I don't...
We do.
I feel like sometimes you just start saying things like
aggregate value. Aggregate value.
But Mars, that means in 2028, we're gonna have to remember, like, okay, well,
yeah, but like, I feel like if Jokic is not this guy in 29, and everyone in the chat understood what we were talking about. I didn't feel like it was relevant to be like, hey, well, Jordan retired in 94. Like, I didn't feel we had to bring that up. Like,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
So then what? Hakeem and David Robinson?
No, Mars.
We knew what we was talking about, and now Penn's bringing up
Mars.
Karl Malone and Patrick Ewing for the 90s.
Don't say it with your chest. Say it with your head for a second. Hang on 1 second. Are you trying to tell me that from 2000 to 2009, if you look at career aggregate value, you're taking Shaquille O'Neal over Tim Duncan?
I'm saying no one was talking about career aggregate value. Everyone was having the same conversation except you. That's what I'm saying. Everyone understood the context of the conversation.
But this literally only applies to that player that I specified. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Jordan retired for 2 years.
We can't do Shaq no more. When you put it that way,
because
you got to talk about 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We can't.
If Ron ran a poll, did everyone understand the question? Everyone would say yes. Like, I don't understand how this is
except for me and Penn.
Stop getting heated and just hear what I'm saying.
No, but Penn, you do got to break because now the 20s is now SGA and Jason Tatum. It's not Giannis and Jokic. So let's compare them.
That's not true because Jokic has won multiple MVPs.
No, we're talking about the 20s. We're talking about the
decade
20s.
Ain't over, so I guess we got to wait till 2029 to even have the conversation. I guess.
Sure. Because right now the conversation is 2020 to 2024.
Don't understand it, I guess.
Because we're not in 2025 right now. So you're not even going to tell me. You don't know what Anthony Edwards. If Anthony Edwards turns into prime Michael Jordan for the next 6 years, this is his decade. Sorry.
Exactly. The whole conversation is pointless, guys. The whole conversation is pointless. We didn't understand that we were just talking about the best player from within that decade, the best version of them.
Look, man,
we were talking about Phoenix Sun Shaq, guys.
Look,
my bad.
When you say Larry and Magic, you are saying that Larry and Magic were the best players overall through the 80s, and nobody disagrees with that. Nobody disagrees with that. When you say Jordan and Hakeem were the best players through the 90s, that is because there's nobody in the league, no player who averaged better throughout that decade. It doesn't matter that Jordan went away for 2 years. It doesn't matter.
And we got to talk about Karl Malone now.
I'm not gonna lie. I need someone who played the whole decade.
Karl Malone ain't better from a career perspective, not from a talent perspective.
He gave 3 extra years of the decade. He gave 3 extra years in that decade.
And not only that, Penn, you just brought up. I'm sorry, Ron brought up SGA and Jason Tatum, and you counted that with the league MVPs. I don't know if you remember this, but Malone won 2 MVPs in 3 years in that decade.
I'm looking up Jordan's walk in the
90s. Get Jordan up out of there. Jordan's done for the 90s. We're not doing
that. Let's see Jordan's 90s.
He is done because you said so, Pin. This is your
Peace ball, nigga.
6 championships.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Jordan ain't have any.
He dominated the 90s. Jordan dominated the 90s.
Dominating, you wasn't there for all 10 years. He was.
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense.
Irrelevant. Shaq wasn't just Shaq.
Now that you think about it, Jordan only played 6 of those years.
Jordan dominated. Shaq dominated. Shaq dominated.
90, 91, 92, 93, 95. He was gone for a year and a half. What are we talking about? 2 years. He was gone for a year and a half.
99.
Okay,
yeah,
so what?
99 too.
That's how good he was.
He was going for
just how good he was.
So 93, 94, 95, he came back with 11 games left in the regular season. So he was going for 8.
And I'm with you on this, Pin. I got your back, man. I got your back.
Okay, look, what I'm trying to say is that
none of us believe.
David Robinson has a higher VORP in the 90s than MJ. The aggregate value.
It's cooked.
I've got David Robinson. It's David Robinson.
Hey, Pin, thank you for opening our eyes to this, Pin.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
You just made me better. Pin. You made me better.
The 90s ain't MJ. The aggregate value.
Peace ball, nigga. But all right, let's
anything to pack him up. I'm here for it. Yeah, man.
All right, let's get to it, y'all. I'm sorry, Teddy. You sent through a $20 super chat earlier, but the fact that it was off topic and we were just in such a good conversation / debate or whatever you want to call it, I didn't get around to it. But Teddy Hart said, well, off topic. Did y'all hear Shaq's story about Stern making the Magic sit him out for the last game of the season so that David Robinson could win the scoring title? Stern was so damn crooked, in my opinion. NBA was never pure during his run.
When has the NBA ever been pure? What are you talking about? In the 70s, it was full of cokeheads and drug addicts. In the 80s, that was going on. What are you talking about, Teddy? That was going on the whole time. So, and on top of that, we've seen plenty of instances where, stuff like that has happened. We had referees throwing games. We had referees went to jail for stuff like this. So that has nothing to do with David Stern.
Chill. I would argue that this ain't no better. I would say that some people function better off of coke than weed. You know what I mean? So these dudes high as a kite out there.
And playing on parlays?
Mm-hmm.
You think y'all think Jonte Porter the only one getting that off?
If that was true, then Lynn Bias would still be around. That'd be great.
And y'all wonder why y'all can't hit y'all parlays. Because they trying to hit their parlays. Julius Irvin said, 2 most important things in b-ball. Did I read this?
Yes, you did read that.
Yes, you did.
Thank you, Julius Irvin.
Alzheimer's.
Appreciate you, my man. And never mind. Gandhi KV2 said NBA needs to fix the 3-second rule or just get rid of it and illegal screens. Also, freedom of movement.
Oh my God.
No, they don't.
I wouldn't be opposed. I think we might have to have a whole show about how to fix the NBA. I think people are like this whole ratings thing. I think people are overreacting a whole lot.
I think so too, Mars. I've been hating this over that the NBA ratings is dropping. It's a bad game and this and this. I've been hating.
I actually agree. I like Shaq's take on it, where he said every single team plays the same way, and that makes it a lot less interesting. And I tend to agree with that. That there's and I don't even agree that every team is playing the same way, but I get his overall point.
It's like looking at the same girl.
Yeah, if it was true, I would get his point, but it's not true, so I don't.
Well, I mean, if it was a bunch of Halle Berrys running around here,
Ron, and with that being said, Ron, after 5 minutes, yeah, it's great, but in a month,
after 5 years, at least give me 5 years.
In 2 months, in 3 months, you'd be like, all right, I'm good.
Halle Berry is still good in 3 months.
Chill, Paris Morton. Chill, you would get tired of Paris Morton?
No, El Basketball, all right. El Basketball.
Yeah, but I mean, teams don't play the same. Like, I think they
not exactly the same, Mars, but it's kind of the same outcome. It's kind of the same vibe.
Denver and Boston play.
But see, this is the thing, Mars.
Like, right. Now you obviously got a couple teams that don't, but you know what I'm saying. For the majority, I think the teams kind of got the same flow. There's some differences. Obviously.
I think the concept is you want to generate as many efficient shots as possible, and unfortunately, the basketball court is the same in every arena. So it's the same 94 feet. The 3-point line is in the same place. So like the most efficient shots are always going to be in the same spot. but the process in which how they're generating them is not the same for most of these teams.
But it's
the Warriors generate their looks different to how OKC does, different to how Cleveland does, different to how Boston does. The Knicks have a different style compared to Houston. Like all these teams play differently. They just the outcome of the shot that you're actually getting at the end of a possession might be similar in terms of it's a layup, it's a dunk, it's a three, it's a free throw. That might be the same, but the process to get there, I think, is different. And this comes back down to people looking at process versus outcome. The outcome might be the same. It might be an open three. But how do we get to the point where there's an open three? That's what makes these teams different. But if you're only saying, oh, this team's shooting 43s, this team's shooting 53s, all they're doing is chucking threes, then yeah, I guess you're going to say it's the same. But if you actually look at how these threes
I would say the bulk of it. The bulk of the game is a lot of repetitive stuff. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes people just get bored with it. You know, I think you have to really enjoy basketball to watch. I think there was a time where you could watch the game with somebody that wasn't really a hoop fan like that, and they could be like, oh, okay, kind of get into a little bit more. I think after a while, it's a lot of repetitive stuff where it's just kind of like, we're still watching this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I even get to that point. You know how many times I left playback a couple times last week.
But Big Ox
might do something crazy, but
Mars, Big Ox, y'all just chat. Y'all just one more time. Big Ox, you can hear me?
Yeah.
But let's just talk milk then. Let's just talk milk. Maybe y'all can feel me.
Oh, somebody put the playback on them.
Big Ox, you will get tired of 5 days of Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson,
Ron. This basketball ain't
Angelina Jolie.
This basketball ain't that.
Hillary Duff.
Yeah, I guess Walters doesn't think this basketball is that attractive. So I guess you need to like.
Man, I'm not attracted to it.
How long did you look at low for?
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not answering that, Ron. Mars. Ron, don't get me wrong. She fine, but I'm not attracted to it.
All right. Fair enough. I'm saying she's at least Amelia Clark, but all right.
Know who that is.
Shout out to all the supermodels out there. Bam Gabe has been a member for 14 months. Gabe said Jokic more clutch than Giannis, and he spelled Giannis with a Y. Wow.
You guys factor in defense into being clutch? That's just a genuine question.
Okay. Yes, I do.
Deem the Dream 91 has been around for 14 months. He said Ron is a box score merchant. I will take that badge and wear it proudly. Rock Out Deuce became a new member today. Shout out Rock Out. Mavs, Luka, Clay, Kyrie sent through a members chat. He said Luka clears both, so who cares? Stop the Jokic plays.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he clears both. I think Luka can get to a level where he's on their level. I just think it's A, less consistent, and B, is like the least effective of all of them.
Does Luka have the highest level that he can hit
in like a single game?
Yeah, if everybody's playing at their best, everybody is lights out, everybody's playing out of their mind. Can Luka go the highest?
Kevin Durant exists.
I don't think so. It might be the most like demoralizing if Luka has it going, because he's gonna make like 9 threes. He's gonna have the ball the whole game. He's gonna like control everything. It looks different when Jokic does it. Like Jokic will score like 56, and it's like post ups and hook shots and offensive rebounds, and it's like, ooh. But Luka's doing it, and he's making step back threes and all of that. But I don't know if it's actually the most valuable like peak. I'd probably still say it's Jokic or Giannis, if I'm being honest.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh. But anyway.
Cultured Kunta Bandit, dub name, has been around for 13 months. He said Penn getting schooled by a YN. That boy Mars good.
I'm a YN?
Youngin.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Cool. Penn getting schooled by a young N. All right. Let's keep it pushing. We got a super chat from Bobby7 or members chat. He's been here for 8 months. He said draft proves that you can't objectively rank players.
What's he mean?
I don't know what that means neither.
The NBA draft?
I don't know.
I don't think that's ever been viewed as a ranking, if that's what he's talking about.
J. Dot Became a YouTube member. Big shout out to J Dot. Masinko said, shout out Darrell Wright, Joey Graham, Nikola Pekovic, Samari Walker, and Tony Douglas. Dub panel, dub chat, Dwayne Wade, and Penny Hardaway.
Who's Samari Walker?
You mean Samaki Walker? Does he mean Samaki Walker? Yeah, that's what
I'm saying. Samaki. But shout out
to Nikola Pekovic, though. He was strong as hell.
For real.
Shout out Samaki Walker for that draft day suit.
That hat was killing him.
That was crazy.
Malik Stevenson said, how do the Bulls turn things around? Will they be able to trade Levine and Vooch? Vooch is terrible defending, and the team allows 122 points as a whole. Throw up emoji.
They got to tear it down.
I think they're trying to have a fire sale. Levine, Vucevic, Lonzo. I think they're trying to keep Kobe White, Josh Giddey, I would assume.
It's really hard to make trades in the NBA today, man, especially when you got these middling $20 million contracts like the Lonzo Ball contract. It's a hard contract to trade because when you look around the league, there aren't a lot of teams that have $20 million contracts. So it's tough to make deals when there's no matching contracts. And the same thing with Levine. That's a lot of years to take on. He's very talented, but he's a defensive liability. Last year, I think did a lot to hurt his value because he's a multi-time all-star, right? But last year when the Bulls were better without him, I think that really shook a lot of people away from thinking, is this a lot of empty calories? So I think you're going to have a tough time, but I don't know, man. They should tear it down. There's a lot on stake, and I really like some of their young players.
Alan L said PC's Instagram comments are pure brain rot.
I read TikTok and YouTube comments. Instagram is not a place I go to. It's a disgrace. TikTok isn't good either, but Instagram is a whole.
I heard Instagram. I only had an Instagram account because of Woj. He's not there anymore, so I don't really bother too much with Instagram. But I heard Instagram is about as toxic as Jersey sewage.
It can't be more toxic than Twitter.
Yeah. What about Twitter?
Twitter's a whole new world. Twitter's a whole new world.
That was fun, man. I was enjoying.
I'd be on Twitter, not on my main account. If I was on Twitter on my actual account.
I like the fact that I can say whatever I want back on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like on YouTube, Instagram, all my comments be getting deleted. You know, I like to talk shit. So on Twitter, I'm like, cool, let's do this. I'm having fun.
I'll be talking from the comfort of my bed. For sure.
By the way, Elon Musk says stop using hashtags on Twitter. You said it literally does you no good. They already have the algorithm figured out. So throw the hashtags out the window. Stop using them. Just say what you need to say. DeSarmo said play in Wolves with the 21-year-old Ant and no J-Mac, plus Reed. Phoenix, who traded their whole team for KD. Play in Lakers and 8 seed Heat. Never beat a 50-win team.
I'm glad our conversation never devolved into that. It nearly did, but we stayed back on track to like talk about Jokic and Giannis as players and not that stuff.
Luca Glazer 77 said Luca, for example, has more weaknesses than JT and maybe Shea, but still absolutely clears them both.
That's a lie.
Maybe Jason Tatum getting a bit underrated. I don't know, man.
Been underrated.
Yeah.
Isaiah Ivana said dub LaCream Town in the chat. Shout out LaCream.
I'll stick my head in there from time to time.
Isaiah Ivana also said dub LaCream Town pin. There's some on
goofball alert.
Bro, you don't proofread these?
No, he don't.
Ron doesn't read ahead. Ron reads it as
he doesn't screen. Ox on the talk show. He doesn't screen phone calls. He just let anybody call and anybody come up. He don't screen phone calls.
Speaking of which, I got somebody trying to call in right now, but he's saying the link doesn't work.
Ron, you got to check IDs and everything, bro.
No, he don't do that. He don't do none of that. Ron just let anybody in.
Isaiah Ivana said Ron's gap over pin. All right. Maybe I should have proofread that one. Prescott Nimley said, bro, Penn is doing exactly what Ox said last week. It's okay to critique like you critique. You protect his legacy like a mama bear with her cubs.
Yeah, because I think he's genuinely misunderstood and kind of trashed on, and I don't really understand why, but it's all good, man. I felt very similarly about Tim Duncan. through most of the 2000s. When people were complaining about how boring he was, I was rocking my Tim Duncan jersey saying he's great, and y'all just not understanding it. And now I think when I said that Tim Duncan was a top 5 player in 2012, 13, there was no consensus. None. Literally, people looked at me like I was absolutely insane. I feel we will be talking about Jokic as a top 10 player of all time when it's all said and done.
Not if I got anything to say about it.
I don't think that's ridiculous.
That's all good.
I really don't.
He's never going to be better than... I don't even know who to
keep Moses out of this, bro. Moses and Dr. J.
No, Moses is cemented. He never will see.
We'll see. We'll see. But what did Mark say in the beginning? We gain more objectivity as we move away from a career. We'll see what is said when it's all said and done.
When we start remembering our memories.
Sure.
Classic.
Yo, that shit is scientifically proven. Don't troll that.
Mars, that's so petty, bro.
Classic sent through a super chat.
Mars is a scumbag. I keep trying to tell y'all this, yo. Mars is a scumbag.
Mars, if you read when I was doing that last week,
Mars kept acting like I was doing too much. Now
Mars is a scumbag. I keep trying to tell y'all this.
Y'all literally, like in the chat, y'all literally think anything you don't understand is cooking. Like you're like, oh, Ox cooked him on memories and shit. It's like nothing.
It was
cool.
just funny. I'm not cooking. It was funny. I made a joke. That's all. I hear what you're saying, but I get you. We understand how this works.
Since we on the subject, of education, Ron, that next super chat you was reading, read it. That next
Classic said, I hate it, but double ability? That's how you say it, Pin? Double ability or double ability?
I'm adding that. I'm putting that in my vocab.
Double ability is more important than rim protection. I wish teams would stop doubling Jokic so much so it wouldn't be as important. Or
he's implying that Penn is saying double ability is the most important thing because it helps his Jokic case. And if Jokic was a better rim protector but less of a double team threat, I guess he wouldn't view it as important. That's what he's trying to allude to. I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm just saying that's what he's trying to allude to. But I am going to use double ability in my vocabulary from now.
I do feel like guys like Jokic, you shouldn't double. I feel like guys like I've already said Dirk Nowitzki. There's guys like that you just should not double team. There's no point in doing it. You're hurting your defense when you do that. In fact, I will go as far to say guys like Dirk, Jokic, I'm not even putting my best defender on it. Like, I'm putting my second best defender on because it's like, yo, you can't lock him. You know what I'm saying? Go lock him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I've asked this question before about Kevin Durant. I've asked like very similar thing about Kevin Durant. We don't have time to get into it, but I've said very similar things about Kevin Durant. So I understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, like, got to do that sometimes. No point in guarding him, bro. Just you go stand over there.
MP13 said, when you hear the word bag, unironically in basketball talks, when you hear the word bag, unironically in basketball talks, just discount the rest of the statement because it's going to be a bunch of yapping.
You didn't need to grammar correct that. That was grammatically correct. And honestly, that dude, MP13, whoever it is my favorite chatter in the entire chat. He's the one guy who consistently makes sense. So shout out to
MP13. You know what, Pin? That's ironic because MP13 always has something to say against what I said. And I'll just be like,
I seen you leaving in the comments.
That's why
I'll just be like, yo, MP13, bro, stop sending super chats.
But he
keep sending super chats, but
not
about what I said.
He cooks you on that slow roast where you got to think about it for a couple of days.
He don't be cooking shit. He just don't know ball.
MP, keep going. Julius Irvin said, superstar bucket is also going at whoever is in front of you and getting a bucket. Giannis does that. Jokic is mismatch hunting half the game.
When the whole goddamn league is a mismatch, it's not mismatch hunting.
that was
I think mismatch hunting is just logical basketball. I'm not going to punish mismatch hunting.
I don't be mad at mismatch hunting. Yo, I've mentioned this before. I hate when you have the mismatch and then they set a screen and you get somebody that's not as good as of a mismatch. I'm not gonna get into it, but on Friday,
they'll have Trae Young on them, and then they'll go hump Bogdanovic.
Yeah, it'd be like, what?
You already got
it'd be even worse than that, though. You'll have Trae on you, and then you'll switch off and get Dyson on you. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I swear. Tomorrow on playback
for a screen for no reason.
For no reason. Yeah, but tomorrow when we're on the main stage of playback, it's a good question, Big Ox. You got to pull up and see.
So you don't know?
Yeah, we don't know what game we want.
We'll just be there. Zoo Money or Zooey Money. I'll just call you Zoo Money. Zoo Money said, is Jokic better at b-ball than LeBron?
No.
That's very simple. Very, very simple. Okay, we good. Next.
Good job, Penn.
Ron, read the super chat.
I'm trying to say the person's name. Have y'all seen an old out of shape Arvydas Sabonis versus Shaq and other big men? Jokic would dominate in any era and bust David Robinson's ass. Laughing my ass off.
Nope.
Arvydas Sabonis is better than Jokic.
Nicely comes from Greece.
Did you know that Arvydas Sabonis is better than Jokic too? Bet you didn't know that.
Arvydas is great.
Bet you didn't know. Realist123 said, who would make the best duo in the NBA today? You can pick any two players. I got Joker and AD.
What? Joker and AD? Why? Twin Towers?
AD covers up for his defensive deficiencies, and he's a great play finisher. That would be the argument. Like, just replace Aaron Gordon.
I would say Shea and Jokic would be a great two-man. That'd be awesome.
Booker and Jokic. Steph and Giannis.
Giannis and Wemby.
Yeah, that's just Dame and Giannis, but worse because Steph trash now. Giannis and Wemby.
But he's better defensively.
I would probably say that's fine. I would like De'Aaron and DeMontis. I think that's probably
March, Jalen Green, and
you see Coach Brown calling out De'Aaron Fox.
Orlando.
Good coaching. You got to call out the superstars.
Sip, Baller, OZ, whatever the case may be. CYP said, if we are being real, there's no one even remotely close to Jokic. If you watch his game in terms of skill, Joker is galaxies ahead of the run and dunk merchant.
Okay, so sounds like you're not being real. That's number one. So we could start and stop the conversation with that.
Right? I agree. That's too far.
Yeah.
What
sounds like you're not being real.
Jokic is the best by far. Is that basically what he said?
Something about galaxies and some other things.
I think he is better by more than what most of y'all are saying, but I don't think it's galaxies.
All right, y'all. Let's get to the last super chats. John Cena said, "Weren't we supposed to appreciate both of them?" LOL.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't want. My intention was to compare Jokic and Giannis historically in terms of like they're peaking now, or whenever you think Giannis's peak was. How does that stand up historically with other all-time greats? And then it turned into 2.5 hours of why Jokic is apparently better than Giannis. I didn't mean for that to happen, so my bad. But yeah, the intention was to talk about them historically. So like Jokic and Giannis versus Hakeem, or David Robinson, or Moses Malone, or Magic Johnson, or Larry Bird, whoever. That was the intention. But we got what we got, and I think it was still overall productive.
Mike said, "Ron, send a link that works, fool. Stop saving chill."
Just so you know, Ron, I had my live stream last night, and he was in it, and I sent the link, and everybody else was able to come on except him. Chill. Everybody else was able to come on except him. He was the only one who couldn't get on. But everybody else was able to get on.
I saved your legacy. Thank me later. Vision Gang said, "Where is Jordan?" Heartbreak emoji. I guess Big Ox will do.
Oh Lord, is this the same one? Never mind.
Yep.
Okay.
Damn, so what? Cool. Like 5th choice? Oh, that's disappointing. I get it. Underage. I get it. Smart on you, Vision Gang. I get it.
Realist123 said, "Oh, and we are smoking that Kings pack tonight."
Lakers fan. We'll see him tomorrow if they lose. We'll see him tomorrow. How the season's over.
Julius Irvin said, "Jokic don't have a series good as Giannis's finals."
That 2023 Phoenix series for Jokic. Oof. He's pretty good in that series. I ain't gonna lie. He's pretty good. I don't know what he averaged.
Against DeAndre Ayton?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Goddamn. I just had to. I couldn't help myself. I had to.
But that Jokic series is crazy.
Nothing but net said, "Can we agree Giannis and Jokic are 1A, 1B?
No,
MJ and LB.
One of them is better.
I don't think MJ and LeBron are 1A, 1B though. So no, right. I don't agree.
No, we can't agree on that. No.
I think the easiest way to solve this was to literally do a league-wide draft and just say who goes number 1.
Wemby.
No, not for future value. Literally your entire timeline ends at the end of this year. You just get one season of this. Who are you taking for this season? You're trying to build a championship. You're doing a round robin tournament, 12 players, whatever, 12 teams, 30 teams. Who's your first pick? Health is not guaranteed.
You got in the 9th round. Damn.
No, you got to factor in past durability. You got to factor in, age regression, which means you're going to factor in that KD is 35 years old, right? Or 34, however old he is. So in that context, you're building a team from scratch. You got the first overall pick in the league, and the league literally falls off a cliff and ends this year. You got 1 year to win a championship. Who are you picking number one? I'm picking Jokic every time. And I will devote rounds 2, 3, 4, 5 to getting him the defenders that he needs and the shooters that he needs. But I'm not picking anybody over him.
Interesting.
All right. I feel the same way about Giannis. But let's move on. Drink More Water said, we went from celebrating to criticizing both. LOL.
We can never be positive, man. No matter how hard we try.
I wanted to say some positive things today, and I didn't get a chance to.
Vanessos said, to the hater on the right, Jokic clears his favorite player. Shout out to the hater on the right.
It's not me.
No Cat Prince said, Ox, I seen who you posted on your story, man.
Dub promo for Ox. Now I gotta look who he posted.
Mike said, Ron, it ain't working. Send it again. Along the road, Smith said, Giannis is a better scorer. Jokic is a better shooter.
I think Jokic is just the best scorer. And the best shooter, obviously, but best scorer.
Dookie Baylocks said, we really gonna lose Zach to a team that owns us. Heartbreaker. Damn. Nothing But Net sent a super chat with Nothing But Net. Shout out Nothing But Net. Masinko said, damn, Ox, today's game, Whoopi Goldberg.
Is that an Eddie reference? I don't know.
Mo said, chill. Would Len Bias been the GOAT? How good was he?
I don't think he was to be the GOAT, but the player comparison, who he reminds me of. Think Anton Jameson, except a better athlete in a money mid-range game. Much better mid-range game.
That's Anton Jameson. Damn.
Shout out to one.
Better mid-range game, superior athlete. That's who he reminds me of.
Kareem NYK 2001 said Tatum over Giannis. Mars doesn't know hoops.
Did you just call him Giannis?
Yes, that's exactly.
Shout out to NY Kareem though. He's been my most dedicated hater for like a year now. I appreciate him. He motivates me to be better. I'm lying, but shout out to him though for sure. He's easily my biggest hater. Like he is really the GOAT of hating me. So I want to give him credit for that because it takes some skill, and he's doing a good job of it.
Keep going, Kareem. Be great
for sure. Keep going.
John Cena said, I asked this yesterday, but is Dame a top 3 point guard?
Well, Luka and Shea are better than him. So then it comes down to, is he better than Brunson, Steph, Trey, Ja,
LaMelo, Cade, Scotty?
Is he better than all of those guys? I don't know. At best, he's third. That's all I can say. At best, he's third.
Mo said, just got off work. Salute, Chill, and everyone else.
Mo, you got people who are looking for you in the chat, by the way. In the comments after yesterday's video, they were looking directly for Mo. They was like, "Where's the Mo who's in the chat? I want to debate with him." Something. So, Mo, be in the comments today because they mad at you.
Stop running, Mo.
All right, fellas. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Hey, Chill, tomorrow. Best passers in the NBA. I'm gonna send you the list of the 30 guys we're gonna talk about.
See, you scared to be best passers of all time because you know John Stockton gonna get slandered. I see how it is.
It's kind of easy with the best passers of all time. It's like the Magic tier, then it's the Stockton tier, and then it's everyone else.
Stockton tier is
Ron,
like
when we doing
Jones
most improved. When we doing these breakout stars,
Yeah,
man.
well,
you told me we were gonna do it today, and I was very
we were.
committed.
Yeah, but
to
then we got sidetracked by Jokic clearing Giannis. So.
Yeah, so we just kind of had to. But next Monday, most likely. Either way it goes, it'll be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I'll make sure you get on for the episode because something crazy might happen this weekend. LeBron might get traded to Golden State Warriors or something like that, you know.
But
Rock Out Dude said Memphis versus NY would be a great series.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I would love to see it.
I don't think so.
I'd watch it, of course, but for the box office, man.
Swoop sent through a super chat and said, "Is it ridiculous to have Joker in the GOAT debate?"
Yes.
I don't think it's ridiculous. I think you'd have to have like a very weird, like you'd have to be like, I value being the best ever on one side of the ball, as like, so you'd be like, Bill Russell is a GOAT candidate, and then you'd have to say you think Jokic is the best offensive player ever.
Bill Russell is a GOAT candidate. That's the difference.
But Bill Russell's a GOAT candidate for different reasons than the one I'm outlining. But you can have different reasons and get to the same answer. The argument to make Jokic the GOAT, to be logically consistent, would have to be you value being the best ever on a singular side of the ball.
I don't think you can be in the GOAT conversation when you got one championship. You can't be in the GOAT conversation for me. That's just
accolades clear.
That's why I said the criteria would have to be different. Super chats. Okay.
I do think you can make an argument. I mean, you're probably gonna get cooked, but I'm pretty sure some of y'all can cook up a compelling case. MP13 said, "Ron, get a mic filter. Your audio levels are crazy."
Facts.
Just trying to make sure y'all are hearing me. No. I'm trying to make sure you're hearing me.
You screamed into a microphone.
No. You're not hearing. No. You're not hearing me. Kareem NYC 2001 said, "Was 2016 Westbrook a floor raiser or ceiling raiser?"
Both.
I think he was both. Yeah, I think he was both. His play style lends more towards floor raising, but I do think Westbrook in himself is still a ceiling raiser in certain regards. So I would say both. Yeah. I'd say more floor raiser than ceiling raiser in terms of style of play, but he's capable of doing both. I think a really good level.
Luca Glazer 77 said Shea is a 2.5 level scorer.
Disagree.
Yeah, if you're saying rim 3, mid range 3 levels. Yeah, I'd say he's probably a 2 level scorer, to be honest. But
so he can't score from 3.
I mean, capability and like being consistent are 2 different things. Like Jason Tatum can score in the mid range. He's not good at it, so I wouldn't call him a 3 level scorer. Same thing with SGA. He can score from 3, but I wouldn't call it a level of his game. It's just something he can do sometimes. So I would say 2 level scorer. I guess 2.5 makes sense then. 2.5.
John Cena said, "Is Jokic catch and shoot threes role player buckets?"
Yep.
All right, there you have it. We are done with the super chats for today. Salute to everybody that sent through a super chat. Shout out to all of our Hall of Famers, and shout out to everybody that became a member today. We will catch you guys tomorrow for the show at the regular time. We'll be talking about the best passers in the NBA currently, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow on the main stage. On the way out, Carlton is right. If the left don't get you, then the right will. We out, y'all. Catch you tomorrow.
Peace.